$100 a month with MediShare. You too can do something different. You could start saving now. Here's the number. Call 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
Could you make $500,000 in retirement savings? Maybe $1 million, maybe $2 million? Well, you could. The key is having a comprehensive financial plan for taxes, Social Security, inflation, healthcare, income, and more. Discover how you could make money go a lot further in retirement in a 3-hour adult education class, Retirement Planning 101. Guys, it's Dave Glover from KMOX. This one-night class is taught by a fiduciary advisor from Financial and Tax Architects with decades of financial planning experience. They're held at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. There's no cost. Just bring 3 canned goods for the St. Louis Crisis Nursery. If you've saved $300,000 or more for retirement, register by calling 314-350-8110. 314-350-8110. If, like me, you haven't quite had the pedal to the metal the way you should, or if you've had the pedal to the metal the entire time, either way, give us a call. We can help you out. We'll take you wherever you are. 314-350-8110. 314-350-8110 for Financial and Tax Architects.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
Shockwaves over a surprise announcement. Lisa Brady, Fox News. President Trump's floated proposal to take over and redevelop Gaza getting a mixed reaction as the Israeli prime minister continues a visit to Washington.
House Speaker Mike Johnson says he plans to bring up President Trump's plan for a U.S. takeover of the Gaza Strip during his meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The speaker calls it a bold, decisive action.
It just makes sense to make the neighborhood there safer. I think that's logical. I think it follows common sense.
Texas Democrat Al Green is filing articles of impeachment over the plan, saying, quote, ethnic cleansing in Gaza is no joke.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz on Capitol Hill. The United Arab Emirates says it rejects any effort to displace Palestinians. A second federal judge blocks an executive order on birthright citizenship.
A district court judge in Maryland issued a nationwide injunction on President Trump's order that seeks to end birthright citizenship for children born in the U.S. to immigrants in the country illegally. Judge Deborah Boardman said no court in the country has so far endorsed the president's interpretation of the 14th Amendment, and hers will not be the first. The order, signed in the president's first days in office, was already on temporary hold from a judge in Washington state. In all, 22 states and several other civil rights organizations have challenged the executive order.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. New Attorney General Pam Bondi says she'll restore integrity to the Justice Department.
And I will fight violent crime throughout this country and throughout this world and make America safe again.
Her swearing-in ceremony held at the White House.
She's worked hard, so hard, and unbelievably fair and unbelievably good at law enforcement.
Former NFL player Scott Turner just confirmed as Housing and Urban Development Secretary, winning some bipartisan support in the Senate. America's listening to Fox News.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
The first of 2 weather systems coming by this afternoon. Cloudy skies with periods of rain and drizzle. 45 for the high tonight. Rain, a couple of spot non-severe thunderstorms. Temperatures actually rising a little bit overnight. Thursday, a mix of clouds and sunshine. Couple of showers possible, but not a lot. 50. Clear and cold Thursday night, 31. Friday's quiet. More rain Friday night and into Saturday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Land Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit lance.drurylaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hi, it's Marc Cox. If you're thinking about selling your home, I know you have a ton of questions. Fact is, selling your home in this real estate market isn't as easy as it used to be. Just look at the headlines. One small mistake can cost you thousands. So before you sell, take a few minutes and get to know Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, just like I have. She is St. Louis real estate expert. I've been telling you about Gloria for over 5 years now. She has written guarantees that'll give you certainty and the most money in today's uncertain market. And you're always in the driver's seat. You know exactly how much you'll make on the sale of your home from the very start. That's because Gloria will guarantee upfront and in writing to sell your home at your agreed upon price, or Gloria will buy it. Take it from me. Call Gloria today at 314-325-6888. or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Again, that's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Taxes was not knowing your full financial picture. Now taxes is getting and maximizing your refund all in one place. Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get you the most money back, guaranteed. Then you can do more with all that money, all in Credit Karma. Now this is taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Get started today. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
If better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today and start the year off knowing you're giving your liver some well-deserved relief. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Well, there's a lot to discuss today, and we're going to get to all of it. But before we get into the business, I just want to let you know that Annie is not going to be here today because she says she sounds like a frog. I have not heard her to confirm whether she actually sounds like a frog, and that's close to the truth or not. Brad says she sounds a little bit more like Chuck Grassley. And, in fact, let's go ahead and bring that up right now and just see if that's what...
A person that left politics out of the prosecution.
Now, is that Annie or Chuck?
That's
Chuck Grassley. Okay, so I'm gonna go more frog here. So that is the situation that's happening today. We have a White House press briefing that's happening right now. So I'm sure they're going to talk about Gaza. They're actually, the reason for the briefing is transgender sports executive order that President Trump is signing today. So we'll dip in and out of this. Lots, obviously, to cover. But let's start with the YouTube live chat poll of the day. It's grade Elon Musk and DOGE's efforts so far. A, B, C, D, F, as we usually give you 4 choices there. B, C is 1 choice. Let us know what you think. A lot of people commenting on this. And since we're getting into the business of things, let's give you an idea. I think you kind of have an idea the way you feel, maybe the way Republicans feel, the president feels. How do Democrats feel about Elon Musk and DOGE?
And we will win. 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 We won't rest. We won't rest. We won't rest.
No one elected Elon Musk to nothing.
That's right.
Not one Democrat in America voted for Elon Musk.
What we're not going to do is stand around when they pull this bullshit. We are going to be in your face. We are going to be on your.
We will see you in the courts, in Congress, in the streets. Elon Musk is a Nazi nutball baby. Every movement needs a scrappy little and I am that person. I need each and every one of you to get in touch with your inner scrappy little.
Nobody elected your. This is not Elon Musk's country.
Take your foot off my neck. We are at war.
Oh, okay. You know, all that we're trying to do is just cut government waste. Right? I didn't know that was how you would react to cutting government waste. That seems a little extreme. Do you think that, Brad, that they're actually that mad at Elon Musk, or they're just mad at everything?
just mad.
They're just mad.
Just mad. No, I think they are actually that mad at Elon Musk. I think whenever he hit and DOGE went after USAID, and we had Jim Carafano on yesterday, and he talked about this a lot, like a lot, how they use this as a possible money laundering scheme and stuff like that. I think he hit them right where it hurt, which is the pocketbook, and they are really livid about that.
It's not going to stop either.
No.
This is the tip of the iceberg as far as cutting government waste. It's not just cutting government agencies, it's the money.
Mm-hmm.
It's the money that is funneled through, and dare I say,
not
laundered.
The money. Your money.
Your money.
If you pay taxes, this is your money that they're doing this with.
Through these agencies with zero accountability. I mean, they were doing things that, do you really think Joe Biden knew what USAID was doing to fund, as Elon Musk put it, they were propping up certain regimes, funding candidates in certain races overseas. Do you think Joe Biden had anything to do with that? There's no way. So they were not concerned when it was their people in charge and just kind of running the rein. Nobody was at the wheel. It was whatever they wanted and really unlimited funding. Mm-hmm. And I was talking with a couple people this morning about this issue. This really is at the heart of the way big unelected government works. This is it. That's why there's so much anger, is because they're getting at the heart of this thing, which Trump did not do in his first term. He didn't really know how deep these roots went. And then they defeated him through whatever means in 2020 and tried to keep him from ever running again. They tried to bankrupt him. A couple people tried to kill him. Everything possible was thrown in his way to keep him from getting back to where he is right now, because he knew, because that now he knows how deep it is. Now he knows how fast he has to operate and how deep he has to cut on these things, and that's why they're freaking out. Now let me ask you this question. The argument levied against Elon Musk by these people, they're so mad. You know, they're saying that it's undermining democracy that he's even there because he's unelected.
All of those accesses are cut off. So we might actually see somebody get killed.
We have to fight this in the courts. We have to fight this in the Congress. We have to fight this in the streets.
What's happening right now is a hostile takeover of the U.S. government.
Shut down the Senate! We are at war!
Okay, there's much more to that, but that's just like another supercut of people saying, and these aren't random TikTok people losing their mind in their car.
No.
These are Congress people and the leaders of the media saying that we're in now an oligarchy, apparently, that is run by unelected people, and they're all targeting this on Elon Musk, okay? And so, okay, let's listen to the actual argument, which I'm not sure is a really strong one, because anytime people are just screaming, you wonder if there's a real argument or if it's just emotion. But let's dig in and try to find that nugget of the argument. This guy is unelected. And what's the problem with that? Well, he has access to information, and nobody elected him. Okay. Do you think that all of the people at USAID are elected?
0 people.
I think the head of it has to be confirmed. He's not elected.
No.
But there's at least a confirmation process for the person who runs USAID. You just never hear about these things because they're rubber stamped through Congress. So other than that person, this is an organization that has roughly 10,000 people working for it as far as I've seen reports. Of those 10,000, how many people are elected?
Like 0.
Well, the answer is 0. And
0.
If you include the one who goes through Congress, then 9,999.
That's the most oversight.
That's it. So are you concerned that all of those unelected people had access to your information every day? You're not?
But they're not concerned about Elon Musk having access to your information. They're concerned about Elon Musk having access to their
information. But that's my point. All of these people, these 9,999 people who worked at USAID for the last multiple decades, they all had access to your information, and none of them were elected. So I don't think your argument really holds a lot of water, considering all of these people who've constantly had access to your information. Yet, it is a threat to democracy somehow because I'm yelling loud enough.
I tell you right now, people are going to die in very large numbers around the world who are expecting the United States to live up to our promises to get them medicine, to get them help.
We have got to tell Elon Musk nobody elected you. What we're in the face of right now is an authoritarian takeover of our country, and we say hell no.
If this were happening in any other country right now, I promise you, I'd be on the air calling it a coup.
I don't think you would, Joy Reid. That is Joy Reid from MSNBC. You know how I know that this isn't actually some sort of fascist coup? Because if it were a fascist coup, people like that wouldn't be allowed to be in the media. That's what fascists do. They shut down all dissent. There's plenty of dissent in this country right now. So I think we're alive and well as far as the democratic process goes. It is just amazing to see people melting down over this issue. Now, there's a lot of issues going on right now. Trump is moving faster than I ever even thought possible. Every single day, there is a new whoa headline. I walk into the living room. I'm usually somewhere looking at news at night, and my wife is on the couch reading a nice book by the fire. And by the way, everybody in St. Louis is sick. Every single person I know, other than Brad Range, who is standing across from me, who's actually a little under the weather himself, is sick in this city. Everybody in my family, Annie's not here because she's sick. There is so much going around. But I walk in to my wife, and she's sitting there trying to recover too. And every night it's been, listen to this.
Yeah.
Last night it was, can you believe what Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, which I didn't even know they were having a meeting, what they got together and said they're going to do with Gaza. Oh my gosh. We're, of course, monitoring this right now. I think Carolyn Leavitt is doing a press conference and still talking about the White House's action to protect women's sports. But we're gonna keep working on that and get to that a little bit later in the show. But there is so much happening that when I hear these people melting down, and that really is the best word for it, when people are having, I mean, the point of it is look at me. When you have a press conference, you're either there to share information or you're there to share your face with the world and your message. Chuck Schumer had a press conference and has had a press conference basically every day where he is running chants. They can't figure out what to do because everything they know is being washed away. The foundations of their power are actually being hit right now. That's what they're scared of. It's not a Republican in office. We've had Republicans in office before. It's when then you go after this stuff, they lose their mind. And by the way, speaking of Chuck Schumer, it ain't working.
This trade war has awoken a sleeping giant. Not Canada, not Mexico, but the Democratic minority Senate leader. Release the Schumer!
It's going to affect beer, okay? Most of it, Corona here, comes from Mexico. It's going to affect your guac, because what is guacamole made of? Avocados.
I've listened to that clip 20 times.
That is wild, dude.
Your response to the trade war is to f***ing tell us guacamole is made of avocados? Is that what? When the people found out.
Those speeches, man, I pulled this up. I'm going to play a little bit. You'll recognize this as a speech that Dwight Schrute made on The Office, and it's got just about as much substance as some of these speeches that we've been hearing this week. You can see if I can get the sound on for you.
Have you ever asked yourselves in an hour of meditation, which everyone finds during the day, how long we have been striving for greatness? Not only the years we've been at war, the war of work, but from the moment, as a child, when we realized that the world could be conquered. It has been a lifetime struggle, a never-ending fight, I say to you, and you will understand that it is a privilege to fight.
It's listening to speeches and you go, what are you even yelling about? It's been the Democrats all week. And look, I'm not trying to rub their nose in it, but when they're trying to get your attention and it's so substanceless, it's pretty amazing to watch, amusing to watch, really. This is the Annie Fry Show. Well, we really do have kind of a fun day planned here. There's so much happening. If you miss a day of the news right now, and look, we're in news, so it always feels like it's going fast. I've never seen it like this before, where literally every day the news is so much bigger and new than yesterday that you forget that we were supposed to be in a trade war 2 days ago that got canceled. I mean, this stuff is happening so fast.
Oh my gosh.
That I think all of America, I keep getting nervous that America is gonna back out and be like, oh, this is too much.
I don't think they have time to dwell on it.
But so far, that ain't happening. His approval numbers are through the roof. You look at panels and things of people, politicians and polling. It's all maintaining. Why? Because these are the promises. This is exactly what he ran on. This is exactly what people voted for. And so the fact that he's carrying out what he said he would do is actually increasing his popularity in a lot of ways. Will it stay that way forever? Probably not. He's going to make some missteps. There's going to be stuff that you and I, even as conservatives who voted for Trump, there's going to be stuff that we go, I don't think that was maybe the right move. That's what happens. And it will happen, and I guarantee you there are Democrats that are going to be screaming,
and we will win!
Like that, the minute, came in a little hot there, the minute he steps out of line, the minute that number starts to fall a little bit, that's all you'll hear, because that's all they have, because he's in charge. This is the Annie Fry Show. This is Ryan Wiggins filling in. We do have a great show for you today. Stick around. More coming up.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
When we started Neovitin back in 2009, we wanted to create a multivitamin that we would take ourselves. That's why we use quality ingredients in our Neovitin Original Formula multivitamin. With over 20 vitamins and minerals, along with our physician-formulated proprietary blend, you can be sure you are getting the highest quality daily nutritional support. Give Neovitin Original Formula Multivitamin a try for yourself. Find it at your local Schnucks, Dierbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
Financial health is more than just really the investments. You have to look at tax consequences. You have to think about legacy planning or generational planning or your healthcare options. Those all go together with your financial health.
Join Matt Goolsby for Retire Hour to hear his team in finance, healthcare, estate, and taxes discuss changes in law, strategic planning, and answer listener questions. Submit your questions to be answered live on air at retirehour.com. Retire Hour, Sundays at 7 a.m., right here on KFTK.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 55 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
Their parent gave everything for our nation, but when support fades, who stands with them? Join the precious legacy at Rhythm and Brews Fest on March 8th in St. Charles. Learn more at 971talk.com/talk-in-action.
This is the Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
You show us everything you got. You keep on dancing and the room gets hot. You drive us wild, we'll drive you crazy. You say
the U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but when I saw that last night, I immediately said, oh, you can do that? I didn't know that was an option that was even on the table. Whether or not they actually go through with this, is it a Trump tariff kind of thing where he's like going to use it as leverage? I have no idea. But your reaction when you heard this yesterday?
My jaw was dropped. My jaw dropped. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, maybe this is a way to stir the conversation to get something moving on Gaza because the status quo isn't working.
Ethan?
I think that I saw some pretty good memes about it. I saw a couple of pictures. It was like Gaza in 5 years, and it was like the exact same thing, except there was a Trump Tower and there was a couple of like fast food restaurants.
Yeah. I think I've seen some of the same stuff.
But I mean, the thought of it is interesting. It was kind of one of those things like, can this actually happen? And seeing all of the work that he has done so far, it's one of those like, well, he's making so much happen quickly that it wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world. I don't know if it can happen, but if anyone could make it happen, it'd be him.
Yeah, this is just one of those that when you asked before, in the last 2 years or since October 7th, 2023, you would say, well, what is the solution? And nobody had one. And so when you hear somebody actually give a solution, even one that was not really one you were thinking would happen, you go, oh, let's listen and consider, because there have been no solutions. Because the solution, I have a lot of thoughts on this, and we'll get to them later. But the solution can't be, let's just do what we've always done. That's not an option. You can't just keep doing the same thing you've always done. You're going to get the same results.
If you get the same results, that'd be a problem.
So Carolyn Leavitt is the White House press secretary. She is taking questions right now, and Brad has pulled
Great
up.
to see you here today.
They've asked this question, actually.
On Gaza, the president has spent basically his entire public career criticizing foreign entanglements, nation building, sending American troops to fight abroad, particularly in the Middle East. This plan seems like it could ultimately involve all of those things. Can you explain this reversal and how building and owning Gaza squares with America First foreign policy?
I would reject the premise of your question that this forces the United States to be entangled in conflicts abroad. The president has not committed to putting boots on the ground in Gaza. He has also said that the United States is not going to pay for the rebuilding of Gaza. His administration is going to work with our partners in the region to reconstruct this region. And let me just take a step back here, because this is an out-of-the-box idea. That's who President Trump is. That's why the American people elected him. And his goal is lasting peace in the Middle East for all people in the region. And as I said in my opening remarks, we've had the same people pushing the same solutions to this problem for decades. And it's been made very clear to the president that the United States...
Do we lose it? Yeah. All right. Well, let's just go to Trump on this, because I've got a little bit more audio from him.
Everybody's demanding one thing. You know what it is? Peace. We want peace. We want people to stop being killed. But everybody's demanding one thing. Very simple, peace. And he wants peace also.
All right, I think we got it back, so we're going to go back to Carolyn Leavitt.
To ensure stability in the region for all people. But that does not mean boots on the ground in Gaza. It does not mean American taxpayers will be funding this effort. It means Donald Trump, who is the best deal maker on the planet, is going to strike a deal with our partners in the region.
He did not rule out American troops in Gaza last night. Are you doing that now?
I am saying that the president has not committed to that just yet. He has not made that commitment, and you know that.
And on the foreign partners, the Jordanians, the Egyptians, the Saudis have already panned this plan. What foreign partners, if any, have expressed any interest in being part of it?
Well, the president has said he's been socialing this idea for quite some time. He's been thinking about this. He said in his remarks last night, this was not a decision or an announcement that he takes lightly. And the president has already spoken to the President al-Sisi. In fact, that was his first foreign leader call. He's meeting with the King of Jordan, King Abdullah, next week. He spoke with the King of Bahrain. He spoke with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. And he has made it very clear, he's been very vocal, that he expects our partners in the region, particularly Egypt and Jordan, to accept Palestinian refugees temporarily so that we can rebuild their home. I'd like to show you some images of Gaza that were taken. Fox News aired this. I mean, that is, as they put it, an apocalyptic scene in Gaza. This is an uninhabitable place for human beings. Do you really think that families can live their dream in a region that looks like this, with no running water, no electricity? And the special envoy to the president, Steve Witkoff, recently traveled to Gaza, as you all know. And he came back with images that he showed the president of the dire situation here. And the president made this decision with a humanitarian heart for all people in the region. Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. Are any officials here preparing to fight Democratic lawmakers in the streets?
Absolutely not.
And
thanks for the question.
Some elected Democrats are so steamed about DOGE. Congresswoman LaMonica McIver says we are at war. Ilhan Omar says we might actually see somebody get killed. And Chris Van Hollen says we have to fight this in the Congress. We have to fight this in the streets. So what now?
And may I just point out, if you heard that type of violent, enticing rhetoric from our side of the aisle, from Republican leaders on Capitol Hill, I think there would be a lot more outrage in this room today. It's unacceptable, the comments that have been made by these Democrat leaders, and frankly, they don't even know what they're talking about. Because President Trump was elected with a mandate from the American people to make this government more efficient. He campaigned across this country with Elon Musk, vowing that Elon was going to head up the Department of Government Efficiency, and the two of them, with a great team around them, were going to look at the receipts of this federal government and ensure it's accountable to American taxpayers. That's all that is happening here, and for Democrat officials to incite violence and encourage Americans to take to the streets is incredibly alarming, and they should be held accountable for that rhetoric.
It sounds like something that they're most concerned about is DOGE engineers with access to Treasury systems. Can you clarify, do the DOGE engineers have read-only access in these systems, so they are not allowed to write new code?
No.
They are not, okay.
No.
And then one more thing. NBC is reporting that some of the illegal immigrants that we've seen rounded up and arrested are not being deported. They're being released with ankle or wrist monitoring devices, or they have to check in on the phone. So is the administration arresting more people than you have room for?
I have seen the reports, and I'm glad you brought it up because we want to address it. There have been a total of 461 illegal aliens. This is of this morning when I got this information from DHS that have been released from custody. Of the more than 8,000 that have been arrested since President Trump was inaugurated, it's less than 6%. And there are reasons for their release. Some of the factors include a lack of significant likelihood of removal in the foreseeable future, lack of detention availability, which is something this president and this administration has been incredibly vocal about. We are doing everything we can to deport and detain illegal immigrants, but we need Congress's help to increase funding for Border Patrol and for ICE to increase detention capability in our facilities. And then other serious medical conditions have also been the reasons for some of the release of these individuals. But none of them have final deportation orders. Many of them are probably contesting their immigration status. I'd refer you to DHS for more details, but I did get that information because I knew it'd be a question, so thank you.
White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt there. That was a couple questions from Peter Ducey from Fox News. Before that, it was NBC News, wasn't it?
Yeah, Garrett Hake.
Garrett Hake from NBC News. So let's take these one at a time real quick here because I thought there was a lot of information. Nice pull there, by the way, because there was a lot in that couple minutes. The first part about the questions about Gaza, I thought that was a good question from him about how do you actually plan on implementing this? Because that's the question that Trump is going to have to figure out, and Netanyahu and everybody else who's associated with this thing. How do you actually implement this if none of the surrounding countries are willing to take the refugees? That's a big question. And what her answer to that was, well, they're talking. So she's not saying, oh, no, you got this all wrong. She's saying, no, you actually have this right. Right now they're saying no. We expect them to change their mind.
We expect them to say yes.
So we'll see. But that's, if it were anybody else, I'd go, we'll see. It's Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He tends to pull the right strings and get these things done.
Well, and to me, this is kind of like what I was saying. It's everything's stale. Everything's flat. When the soda's flat, sometimes you got to shake the bottle. And whenever he said, we're going to take Gaza, that shook the bottle. I mean, you can't argue with the fact that people like Twitter blew up. Everything blew up. The first question in today's press conference was on this Gaza thing. He's shaking the bottle, and I think he's doing that so that we can come to maybe some new ideas to find something different.
Well, people are commenting in the chat. I pulled up a comment from Dale that I thought was really good, and actually along the lines of what you're saying, Brad. He said, this is Trump's style. He's getting into the head of the other Middle Eastern countries, hoping Saudi, Egypt, and others will say, never mind, we'll clean it up and take the people. Trump hates perma-war. I think that's a very, very wise way of putting it, that he is actually not going to do exactly this, but he's going to, as with everything, it's the art of the deal. You come in big, and then you settle for half of what you were hoping to get with the big presentation, and then you got 50% more than you thought you were going to get. I mean, that's the way Trump does this over and over and over. And before we move on to the next question, I will say that my thoughts, we've discussed this before on the show, and said, in terms of immigration even, that the left really wants everybody, including the right, to think about this through the eyes of the illegal immigrant. And we said, fair, okay, yeah, we can do that. We can think about this through the eyes of the illegal immigrant. And we came to the conclusion that if my life were as bad as some of these people's lives, I'd look for a better life too. That doesn't make it right. That doesn't make it legal. That doesn't mean that you can't have good immigration policy.
Right.
It just means that looking at it through the eyes of the illegal immigrant is a fair perspective. What we were asking others to do, so we being the right, I guess, in this situation, asking the left to do, is that's fine. We can look at it through the eyes of the illegal immigrant. Can you look at it through anybody else's eyes? And the answer seems to be no. But can you look at it through the eyes of a parent who lost their daughter to an illegal immigrant? Can you look at it through the eyes of a legal immigrant? How do they feel about it?
Who did it the right way?
Can you look at it through the eyes of a community that's been overwhelmed by illegal immigrants and it's straining all their resources? Can you look at it through the eyes of a government? Can you look at it through the eyes of Mayor Eric Adams, who's trying to figure out what to do for New York City because he's so overwhelmed by it? Can you look at it through the eyes of anybody else? And that's what we're asking you to do. We'll do what you're asking. Can you do what we're asking?
Yeah.
That's a fair proposal.
Yeah, and like the deep understanding of this that I want my friends on the left to understand is you're not doing anybody, like, it feels good to help that immigrant because you heard their story and their story is very unfortunate and very sad. But whenever you take that person and you put them in a position like you did, New York City is a great example where you have overstrained the resources, you've overflowed schools, you've I remember them taking parks away so they can build encampments for where people can live. When you overflow the resources and you cause hardship, not just for the immigrants that are fleeing what you say is hardship, you're causing hardship for your own citizens, and not normal hardship, like excessive hardship. You're not doing a positive, or a plus. Yeah, it's not a positive on the morality front. You're actually being immoral and causing harm and causing more harm to everybody, because you're motivated by the story. But you've also got to think about this from a logistical standpoint.
Look at it through anybody else's eyes. Really, not just all we're asking is look at it through other lenses than just the one.
And the people whose lenses you're looking at it through are not bad people for saying, hey, we can't do this.
The reason I even bring up that example is because I was trying to do the same thing with the Gaza thing. The left is saying, and not all the left, but the really far left, and there are even some people on the right, I think, who would say this. So it's very fair. We could really take red and blue off of this issue in a lot of ways. It's hard to do, but we'll try to, and say, okay, if the far left, and I'm referring to people like, for whatever reason, I follow John Cusack on Twitter. He is a huge proponent for Gaza. That's all he talks about is the people of Gaza. Okay, if you're really that invested in protecting the people of Gaza, my assumption is you're asking me to look at it through their eyes. Even this issue, look at it through their eyes. Okay, fair. That's fine. I'll try to do that. That if I'm going to do that, I'm not going to look at it. One thing I won't do is look at it through the eyes of Hamas, because Hamas is terrible and terrorist and evil, and they murder people for the sake of their race. These are awful people and a terrible ideology. I'm not going to look at it through the eyes of Hamas. So I'm assuming when you ask me to look through the eyes, you're asking me to look through the eyes of a civilian, an innocent bystander, a conscientious objector. I don't know that you're actually asking me that, but I'm going to assume the best and say that's what you're asking me to do, is look at it through the eyes of these sort of innocent people who've just been caught up in this system. The problem is the system indoctrinates people from the moment of birth into radical Islam. So what do you do if that's the prevailing ideology? How do you find those few people who are conscientious objectors, who don't want any of this Hamas stuff, who don't want to have anything to do with terrorism? Well, first of all, that's really, really tough. But then let's say that you can find some of them. And let's say it's just kids, you know? Let's say it's the innocent kids, poor kids, they're being brought up in this. It's no fault of their own, but by the time they become adults, they have chosen that way of life. But when they're kids, they're not really choosing that. Okay, look at it through their eyes. Really great. Then what's the best for them? That's my question. And this is really the question I think is the most important to be asking throughout this entire debate that maybe you're going to have at a bar this weekend. Maybe you're having it with your family. Maybe you're having it on social media. Whose eyes are you asking me to look at this through? Are you asking me to look at it through Hamas's eyes? Because that makes you bad. Don't ask me to do that. I will look at it through the conscientious objector, maybe the average citizen's eyes, who may not want to be a part of this, although I question how many of them there are. And I wonder if the answer isn't, wouldn't you want a fresh start? I mean, especially for kids.
Yeah.
If you put them right back in this situation again, you're going to get the same outcome. But if you don't, if you are going to change it, don't you want a new future? If you look at those pictures Carolyn Levitt just showed, You weren't able to see it because you're listening to the radio, but you've seen pictures of Gaza. It is absolutely destroyed.
Yeah.
And by the way, Gaza, if you're wondering, the Gaza Strip is about twice the size, I looked this up, as St. Louis City proper. So that's about how big it is, twice the size of St. Louis. So it's not a huge area, but it is basically gone. Like, they don't have hardly any shelter. They, like she said, they don't have running water. If your solution is, no, let's just keep them there, that's actually not really looking at it through their eyes at all. That's looking at it through your eyes, and you're casting your sort of preconceived notions. So, and again, there's a lot to this, and that's why I like listening to the experts and listen to people discuss it, because I think that is the point of this, is to be a conversation starter to a really, really difficult situation that doesn't have an easy solution. Otherwise, we would have already solved this thing. We're going a little long here. Wiggins America is coming up next, as usual, although it will be led by Ethan. And we'll get to more of this YouTube live chat poll. Grade Elon Musk and DOGE's efforts so far. A, B, C, D, or F. Let us know what you think, and we'll see you on the other side of this break.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid members. If you need assistance with daily living, you can receive a free service from Freedom Care in your own home from a loved one who lives with you. With Freedom Care, you decide who provides your daily care, helping you with preparing meals, bathing, laundry, transportation, and more. A family member or friend that gets paid instantly. It's all through Medicaid, and as a St. Louis resident, it's 100% free to you. New to Medicaid, the Freedom Care family will guide you through enrollment, making it stress-free for patients and caregivers. With over 7,000 five-star Google reviews, we've perfected at-home care for Medicaid members and caregivers. If you live in the St. Louis area, this service is free to you through Medicaid, and with our InstaPay app, caregivers can choose to get paid instantly. So go to freedomcare.com or call 314-697-4912. 314-697-4912. That's 314-697-4912.
Freedom Care, we're here for you.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
Lifestyles Unlimited member Lisa appreciates having mentors who have her back.
Having the faith to move forward, and y'all have everything provided. I could call a mentor and say, hey, I don't know what to do. Someone is always there to guide you. I have backup.
Lifestyles Unlimited. Over 33 years teaching the real estate retirement roadmap. Text the word radio to 88007. That's radio to 88007. Join now for $297, a 60% savings. Lifestyles Unlimited. Text radio to 88007.
Today's YouTube live chat poll: grade Elon Musk and DOGE's efforts so far. 4 options: A, B, C are combined together, D, or F. That is today's YouTube live chat poll. Be sure to go and vote on that. And if you give some good reasoning, then we may even feature your comment on the live stream and discuss it. So be sure to stay tuned for that. The time is 12:45. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Get dressed for the 10th anniversary of Gent Men's Fashion Week on February 16th, 2025 at Energizer Park to raise awareness for men's prostate cancer through men's fashion. More information can be found on 971fmtalk.com/events. This is the Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Guess who just got back today?
What is your top priority? What is your top priority, Madam Attorney General, for this new position that you've now been sworn into?
Well, I can just say very simply, for me, overall, very simple. Make America great again. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make America great again, and she's going to take crime out of the system. As much as anybody can do that, she's going to do it.
We're going to make America safe again.
Man, of all of the things that have happened in the last 2.5 weeks, None of them have involved the Department of Justice yet because we just got an attorney general today. How crazy is that? No, what's going to happen now? What's going to happen after we have a Tulsi Gabbard in charge of the Director of National Intelligence or RFK Jr. as Health and Human Services Secretary? By the way, all of them moving forward. Bondi's been confirmed as AG. The Intelligence Committee has voted to move forward with Tulsi Gabbard's nomination, and the Senate panel advances RFK Jr.'s nomination. So,
do we know when those will be?
I don't know the exact date. If it's been announced, it was today, and I haven't seen it yet. But I know that it takes at least a week, if not 2 weeks.
Yeah, they've got to be able to break the filibuster cloture. Ryan Schmelz talked about this earlier this week. He said it's a very boring word, and he could bore us to death with it. But they've got to have enough votes to break cloture to actually get to the vote. So there's a filibuster, and they'll delay it as long as they can, and then they'll have the vote, and then what's going to happen is going to happen. And we will have our RFKs.
Yeah, I was actually doing a full PowerPoint last night on cloture, but I fell asleep.
He put him
super boring.
He put himself asleep.
PowerPoint.
Yeah. Plus, we do radio. I'm like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Video? Like,
why would you create a visual
purpose of
for
this?
an audio show?
I do this so often. I get into things and I'm like, this is worthless.
It just that is a very telling process, or I guess a very telling example of just how much the two sides just don't like each other. I mean, it goes both ways, but it's just like, come on, God, really?
Can't we all
so
just
annoying.
get along?
As someone who is like, I would say on the outer edge of politics where I'm involved, but not like really deep into it, more so like
We've had to
like
get you
guys-
involved, haven't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you have. It's very much so like, why? It's so unnecessary.
Is
Just
there
annoying.
an aspect of it though? Because you're a sports guy.
Mhm.
I've loved sports in my life. Brad has too. Although
You're wearing your Michigan State shirt today.
I don't know why. I just like the shirt. But is politics at least somewhat sporting to you? Like, is there an aspect of it that's enough of the back and forth, the game, that you're able to kind of participate in that way?
Trump definitely helps because he's such a wild card and he does things so differently. I think that I was 16 when Trump first came into office, and it was right around the time that I started getting interested in things. I don't know if I would find myself nearly as interested if, let's say, I was born 4 years earlier and I was joining around, or I was getting involved around the time that Mitt Romney was running for president in 2012. Different, just feels like a different story.
Definitely.
So I think it definitely has to do with Trump and just him being in the mix. But I also don't think that it's much of a coincidence that during a good chunk of the time that Biden was president, at least early on, I kind of like my involvement within politics took a pretty decent dip as well.
Well, politics is strategic all the time. And to me, that's part of the interest of it, is watching people kind of, and especially Trump, like you said, not to always bring it back to Trump, but the dude is a mastermind in strategy like nobody's ever seen before in the White House. I mean, he did this so much so that he announces this big thing in Gaza last night, and we all go, what's he really mean?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Because we're all watching the strategy. We don't know exactly what he's got up his sleeve.
I was scrolling on Twitter last night, and a video popped up of one of the main members of Shark Tank. And it was the short blonde-haired lady. No, not Kevin O'Leary.
Oh, I saw this. It was Barbara Corcoran.
Yes. And someone asked her about Trump and her relationship with Trump, and she called him the best salesman she has ever met in his life. And that's obviously that's high regard coming from her, someone that's, made her name off of sales, but to kind of dove in a little bit as to why he is so good at it and talked through like the Plaza Hotel and the selling of that and how pretty much all that land along the East River?
She gave a specific example of, I watched him do this with some businessmen. I think it was from Japan.
Yes.
And he walked into a room and they had no interest in whatever he was selling. Mm-hmm. And by the end of the couple weeks of him talking to them, they had bought everything he was offering.
Yeah. And he said he's just so good at finding like that specific like niche with the person or finding the weakness of the person and exploiting that to his advantage to where and in this case, it talked about how he used that with the American people and finding, it's not the person's weakness, but
she called it a weakness.
Yes.
To me, what she was talking about was more the motivation button.
Yes.
He was able to find that motivator thing and just press it.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah.
Ready for Wiggins America?
Yep, let's hit it.
Wiggins.
Oh, Wiggins.
When am I going to get my own version of Wiggins America?
You make it.
When I
Yeah,
make it.
you got to make it.
But it still has to say Wiggins America.
Yeah, define making it.
No, when you create the open.
Oh, when I literally, I thought
not
you
when
meant
you
like
make
when
it in
I
this
make
business.
it. I come back.
You're here talking on the radio.
I come back in 10 years, like I want my Wiggins America.
Yeah. Why hasn't it happened?
Like Ryan Wiggins, he hasn't been here for 8 years.
Yeah. It took this many years, and then I got an open.
So I don't know if you guys were aware, but my generation, or at least a good chunk of my generation, just absolutely sucks.
Mm-hmm.
They're terrible.
Chunk.
Can't stand them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that older generations would argue that, well, yes, generations are definitely getting softer, but when you look at my generation specifically, it feels like the pioneer for people just wanting things given to them. Would you guys agree with that?
So like an entitlement attitude?
Yes.
I'll grant that. I don't know that they're necessarily all soft, but I'll grant the entitlement.
It's a gradient because it's gotten more and more. So it's not just all of a sudden Gen Z is entitled. It's every generation that comes along is a little bit more, and probably at that age, you're always you seem more entitled.
Mm-hmm.
So like even when the boomers were hippies, everybody's like, they're entitled.
No,
but
that's
they
fair.
were at that age.
That's fair. No, that's a good way of putting it. Well, I found this. There was this video that popped up. Speaking of scrolling on Twitter, that I've seen a couple of different times, but I've kind of just blown by it. But I figured this would kind of be a good subject matter. And have you guys ever heard of time blindness?
I've heard this phrase used.
No.
So basically, and this video is going to explain it a little bit, but time blindness is the inability to be able to show up on time. This audio is going to explain this young lady's
phenomenon of time blindness.
This young lady's predicament here in this situation, applying for a job and bringing up time blindness.
So I just got yelled at for asking a very reasonable question. So I'm applying to go somewhere, and I just wanted to know, are there accommodations for people who struggle with time blindness and being on time, And then the person I was with interrupted and acted like I was asking something else. And then when we were done, they actually started yelling at me and saying that accommodations for time blindness doesn't exist. And if you struggle with being on time, you'll never be able to get a job, provided you're trying your absolute best to be there. And then they're like, your stupid generation wants to destroy the workplace.
Yep.
You don't
do.
just get to be late and then, but I named it.
They just
I have a condition.
I love that someone was either that level of embarrassed for her that they just ignored it, or just were like, you're not even going to be an option for this job, so we're not going to. For either way, they were ignoring it, which I thought was absolutely hilarious.
I just got yelled at.
Right when I said that, Annie Fry, who is sick today and not here, but it's made this because she doesn't have a voice. She can't talk on the radio without a voice. She's chiming in on the chat and says, time blindness is caused by being late and inconsiderate. Stop renaming things so you can be a sucky person.
Here's part 2 of this video.
And yeah, I think that a culture where workers are just cut off because they struggle with being on time, when there's other solutions that we can look to, I think that just anybody who thinks it's okay to just treat people like that, that culture needs to be dismantled. And
What
then
are
I
the
asked that
other
person, how can
solutions?
you feel good about yourself upholding this kind of system? And then to think I'm entitled. No, if people think it's okay to treat others like this, that's entitlement.
What?
I had to.
Well, she says in there that there are other solutions to this, but like many people we've been talking about in the rest of this hour, what are those solutions?
Yeah.
Isn't the solution still on you? How are other people going to accommodate this?
My favorite part is where she was asking for a special point of privilege because she has quote-unquote time blindness, but you're the privileged person for not making that available for her.
Yeah, I don't understand.
I'm late, it's your fault.
That exactly, right. Because I have this issue, and I even looked it up. Thankfully, I was expecting, just by looking this up, to find some terrible article saying this is why the workplace should support time blindness and allow people. There wasn't any of that. Thankfully, we're not at that point in society. Give it 5 years, maybe even less.
I don't know. This is New America.
You got a point, but I just was fascinated that there are people with the audacity, that level of entitlement. And I love that at the end she even pointed out, this is an entitlement. This is something that I deserve. That's entitlement.
Which means people have been telling her this over and over. This is your fault. You're the one that needs to change. You're entitled. I need to do a video and tell everybody why all of those things are not true. And I'm going to name it time blindness.
Annie, let me know how I
Annie,
did. Was
Annie
this better?
actually
Was this better? Was this worse than
No,
normal
she asked
Wiggins
this question.
America?
You have like 10 seconds to answer it. Ethan, why are your people like this?
I don't represent my people.
All right,
No
that's
further
sufficient.
comment.
That's sufficient. Thank you for participating, both Ethan and Annie from home. Annie, you can continue to be a part of these conversations if you want. In fact, you can be a part of all of it if you log on and you're on our live stream. We'll continue next. We're going to have Marc Cox join us next hour.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Marc Cox here. Are you looking for the perfect start to your child's education? At Kirk Day School, the early childhood program for ages 3 and 4 is where your little one will learn to thrive. They have hands-on activities, nurturing teachers, and a biblical worldview. You can attend their early childhood open house Friday, March 7th, meet the dedicated educators, and tour their Christ-centered classrooms. To register for their early childhood open house and learn more, visit kirkdayschool.org.
Marc Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com.
How about all text? You focus on the road.
As a passenger, you have the power to prevent an accident. There are 1,000 ways to stop a distracted driver. Choose one.
A message from CTIA.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
The White House doubles down on Lisa Brady, Fox News, a day after President Trump suggested a possible U.S. takeover of Gaza to spearhead rebuilding.
This is an out-of-the-box idea. That's who President Trump is. That's why the American people elected him. And his goal is lasting peace in the Middle East for all people in the region.
Spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt says the president made the proposal with a humanitarian heart, adding that he is not committed to sending any U.S. troops to Gaza, though Leavitt stopped short of ruling it out. Critics, including Amnesty International, say the proposal amounts to forcibly deporting Palestinians from Gaza or even ethnic cleansing. President Trump suggesting Jordan and Egypt should temporarily accept Palestinian refugees, which both countries have rejected. The White House says engagement with regional partners will continue. The president is set to sign an executive order aimed at preventing athletes who are born male from playing in women or girls sports in schools and colleges.
Gender ideology insanity is over.
Leavitt also telling reporters the president expects the U.S. Olympic Committee and NCAA to comply with the order.
The order would reinterpret Title IX, a federal law requiring gender equity in athletics and preventing sexual harassment. The Biden administration argued Title IX protects the rights of LGBTQ students. Several Republican-led states sued at the time, and the order was put on hold.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. The White House says Elon Musk will excuse himself from any conflicts of interest between his business dealings and his efforts to cut federal costs, as Democrats criticize his broad access to information.
Given his prominence and his importance, I move that the committee subpoena Elon Musk to come before it
as a witness at the earliest possible moment.
Ranking Democrat Jerry Connolly during a House Oversight Committee hearing about the size of government. America is listening to Fox News.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
The first of two weather systems coming by this afternoon. Cloudy skies with periods of rain and drizzle. 45 for the high tonight. Rain, a couple of spot non-severe thunderstorms. Temperatures actually rising a little bit overnight. Thursday, a mix of clouds and sunshine. Couple of showers possible, but not a lot. 50. Clear and cold Thursday night, 31. Friday's quiet. More rain Friday night and into Saturday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
I was having a lot of sinus infections. My sinuses were clogged, pressure, headaches.
Linda suffered for years with chronic sinus infections.
You don't feel like doing anything. When you feel like your head is completely clogged, all you want to do is just lay down and sleep. And the pressure, it's just not fun, always walking around with a headache.
Now, her issues are gone. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of St. Louis Sinus Centers called balloon sinuplasty.
I really did not know what it was like to feel like you're really breathing and not being so clogged up. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I would definitely recommend it for someone else.
Do you suffer with chronic sinus infections, facial pain, pressure, congestion? Find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Set an appointment today with St. Louis Sinus Centers. Call 314-230-9333. 314-230-9333. That's 314-230-9333.
Well, I'm sad Annie's not here today because she just went to Andrea's restaurant for the first time about a week and a half ago, and I could just toss to her and say, Annie, how was it? And then my life would be over. But here I am having to talk about it, which is actually not that hard. Me and my wife went to Andrea's from December through mid-January, I think about 2 or 3 weeks in a row. We kept having company that was wanting to go to Andrea's while they were here because they had heard about it even outside of the St. Louis area. And they're like, oh, yeah, we got to go. And then they kept getting sick, just like everybody's getting sick right now. But we went to Andrea's over and over anyway because we're like, well, we have the reservation and we might as well keep going. I always get the filet mignon. My wife does too. I think Annie got the filet and maybe her husband got prime rib, if I'm not mistaken, or the strip steak. Either way, it's one of they had never been before. And so the first time you see an Andrea's steak, you go, oh, I get it. They're enormous, first of all, but then that first bite, you're like, oh my gosh. And by the time you get about halfway through the steak, you're like, well, I might as well just get a box now because you know you're not going to finish it. You get so much food when you go to Andrea's, and it's all so good. They win best steakhouse in the area about every year through some publication or another. You got to check it out if you never have. Go to Andrea's in Fairview Heights, Andreas.com.
I can see clearly now thanks to the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates. Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, Andy Royer, and introducing Samuel Berry. You can too. Call 314-966-5000 or check out youridoc.com. That's youridoc.com.
99 years. That's how long Overhead Door Company of St. Louis has been repairing and replacing garage doors for savvy homeowners. Since 1926, they are the only authorized dealer of Overhead Door brand products in the city. Always look for the iconic red ribbon to be sure you're dealing with the Genuine, the original overhead door company of St. Louis. For same-day garage door repair 24/7, call Overhead Door Company of St. Louis or schedule online overheaddoorstlouis.com. That's overheaddoorstlouis.com.
97.1 is excited to welcome Brian Kilmeade back to St. Louis.
Hi, everyone. Brian Kilmeade here. I have great news. I'm going to be joining all of you in St. Louis.
Be a part of this event.
March 22nd, St. Louis. You're going to love it.
Get tickets at briankilmeade.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Look, I got to challenge the premise of the question, Chad. You know me. I'm a fierce advocate and defender of Article 1. I mean, look, we are the legislative branch. There's a reason the Founding Fathers put the Congress, the legislative branch, as the first article in the Constitution, and we're going to vigorously defend that. But what's happening right now, I think there's a gross overreaction in the media to what is happening. The executive branch of government in our system has the right to evaluate how executive branch agencies are operating and to ensure that not only the intent of Congress in funding mechanisms, but also the stewardship of precious American taxpayer dollars is being handled well. That's what they're doing by putting a pause on some of these agencies and by evaluating them, by doing these internal audits. That is a long overdue, much welcome development. That's what the American people demand and deserve. And that's what's happening. So we don't see this as a threat to Article 1 at all. We see this as an active, engaged, committed executive branch authority doing what the executive branch should do.
Tell you what, when I hear internal audits to get rid of wasteful government spending, I do this.
And we will win. We will win.
Because it makes me so mad that somebody could do that.
Unleash the Schumer.
This is the Annie Fry Show. This is Ryan Wiggins, Brad Range, Ethan Hannaford in studio. I have this pulled up. It is called Trump 2.0, a survival guide for Democrats.
I'm going to ask you the question Annie always asks you. Where's this from?
The Free Press.
The Free Press.
TheFP.com, if you'd like to look it up yourself. This is Trump 2.0, a survival guide for Democrats. There are several points here. And it is a suggestion to Democrats in this country from the author, who I believe is a Democrat.
Okay.
At least it seems that he is.
Did you just assume his gender?
I did. And I apologize for that 3 weeks ago. In Trump's America, I'm like, nah, too bad, you're a Democrat. These are suggestions for the way Democrats should handle the next 4 years. And I want to ask you whether you think they're doing this or not. And some of this will be funny. And some of this, I want an actual explanation as to why you believe that they are or not doing this thing. Okay, the first one is avoid the name calling. It says, let's start with something easy. Don't drop the F-bomb. They're not doing that. There's been quite a bit of language.
How are we doing on that one?
Okay, they're not doing that one. Democrats must resist the urge to characterize Trump as his policies as fascist, as Kamala Harris did in the home stretch of the presidential race. Why? For a start, it's not true. Trump may have authoritarian tendencies, says this article, but if the term is to retain any meaning, that is very different from being an actual fascist. What do you think? What do you think?
That was a curveball to me because the F-bomb wasn't actually the traditional F-bomb.
You're
the
right.
F-bomb was fascist.
Yeah, it is a curveball.
I think this person's right. Stop it.
Well, it's not just are they right?
Oh.
Are they listening? Are Democrats doing this?
No, we just played that montage earlier, and she called Elon Musk a fascist Nepo baby.
I think you're right.
It was
all of those accesses are cut off. So we might actually see somebody get killed.
We have to
fight this in the courts. We have to fight this in the Congress. We have to fight this in the streets.
Well,
it's a different F word.
That's a different F word.
Yeah.
What do you think? Democrats doing this one? Avoiding the word fascist?
They're not avoiding
They're
the word
leaning
fascist.
in.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because, you would think that they would have learned from the mistakes that resulted in how the 2024 election went. They haven't. It feels like they're trying to press in more, which I think is really funny because they just continue to represent less and less of the American people. I mean, the Democratic Party has never been viewed lower according to new polling and new data.
It's true. Yeah, actually,
and
I
it's
think
this kind of stuff. That's the reason.
It was either Monday or Tuesday of this week because today's Wednesday. That Annie was talking about a Quinnipiac poll that I hadn't seen that said that in January, so even into Trump's term, that Republicans have never had a higher favorable rating. Actually, the poll didn't say this, but she read the poll, and I said, well, that's the highest favorability rating that Republicans have ever had.
So you said that.
But I looked it up, and it was true. I was reciting this from memory. I'm like, that's actually the highest I've ever heard. Looked it up. It is. It's the highest it's ever been before for Republicans right now, and it's the lowest for Democrats, and that's in the midst of this nonstop race of a Trump administration. Race I mean fast moving, and you'd think people would get a little bit nervous. They're not. They're going, okay, this is what I voted for.
Yeah, that's the thing is it feels like a lot of people, whether you're kind of down the middle, even I think there's Democrats out there that would agree, this is just common sense stuff that needs to happen. And then you have people in Washington that are just screaming their heads off and losing their minds at common sense stuff for the sake of the growth of the American economy, security. It's ridiculous.
Why would you? It just boggles my mind. You can pretend you're mad at Elon Musk in this or whatever you want, but to be mad that they're cutting wasteful spending, that I never thought we'd see. Now they might behind the scenes be like, that's my stuff, they're coming after my constituents, and I was trying to add this pork to my bill or whatever. I see that. But to just be outright screaming at the idea that somebody could want more efficiency in one agency.
Well, and to me, what's wild about it is so USAID,
yeah,
that's supposed to be worldwide, help countries worldwide. And they're saying how valuable this is. But the best they can come up with this are these unhinged, hair on fire rants. They can't bring somebody in because this is a big program that's been helping, quote unquote, helping a lot of people. Mm-hmm. They can't find one person out there to say this is how this helped me and this is how this would hurt other people like me.
I've seen one, since we're on the subject, I've seen one person, and this is somebody that I know personally, who's a missionary in Kenya. And he said, I've actually seen quite a few boxes that say USAID on them. Mm-hmm. And they do help people there. That's the only person I've seen, whether it be personal or mainstream, that says, yeah, I've actually seen something on the ground.
He saw the boxes.
He saw the boxes.
But he didn't know what was in the boxes?
No, it was food and necessities and things like that. But when you start to look at it, and this is part of the problem, is they say about only between, and this is mainstream reporting. Yeah. This isn't like, right-wing people doing this. This is like propaganda. CBS News or CNN reporting, yes, it's only really about 10 to 30% of the budget of USAID that actually makes it to on-the-ground humanitarian efforts.
That is not efficient.
That's not efficient. So that needs to be more efficient. And to conclude this point, don't use the F word, fascist.
Over our country, and we say hell no!
If this were happening in any other country right now, I promise you, I'd be on the air calling it a coup.
I guess they technically didn't use the word fascist, so check mark.
Cleared. Good work, guys.
Number 2, Democrats, and this is from Democrats, saying moderate, starting with immigration. That moderation should start with the decisive issue in the last election, immigration. Voters want a secure border and an end to runaway illegal immigration. Have Democrats softened their tone on this? Have they gotten behind any of these efforts, do you think?
I think that some of them have. I think on the whole, you can't say everyone has. I think some of them have, but then I think there are some that are standing in the way, like a great big, huge, immovable object. They're not going to let people go through them to get to their people.
Yeah, then you got Phil Murphy, New Jersey governor, over here saying that he's sheltering an illegal immigrant above his garage.
Oh my gosh, I'm glad you said that because I don't think we've talked about that.
No, we haven't.
And you got Ilhan Omar, I'm assuming speaking in her native language or in a language that is not English, saying if you are an illegal immigrant, you do not have to speak to ICE. You do not have to communicate your immigration status or these things. I mean, telling people to break the law. I mean, like, these are actual politicians that are saying you do not have to withstand from what ICE is saying or asking.
It's a good point to be made, too, that these are not TikTokers. This isn't just random voters. These are members of Congress. This is big mainstream media that we're quoting here. This isn't obscure people. These are the party thought leaders. Number 3, partner with Trump when he's right, like on DEI. Have you seen this?
No.
There is no partnering with Trump on anything.
No.
He still is the center of the Democrat Party. As in, he decides something, it must be bad.
Even the Democrats that we have looked at to be kind of like, oh, this is the centrist Democrat, John Fetterman. John Fetterman has yet to vote for one of.
They did. Pam Bondi.
Did he finally?
He did.
I was going to
Finally.
say, he is yet
just
to,
happened
like, he
yesterday.
talks all this talk, but he never really gets behind it whenever the chips are down.
I'm wary of John Fetterman. I like that he's out there, but I'm not going to push for John Fetterman in the Senate
Put up or
next
shut
time
up.
he's up. Yeah, you do something. Because right now you vote with Democrats 90-point-something% of the time, and you're just another Democrat. Like,
yeah.
I don't get why we as
Talk
Republicans
is cheap.
are so enamored with keeping this guy around. I guess we're not enamored with keeping him around.
I
we are
like
enamored with the fact that he goes against the grain sometimes.
I like it because of the outfit choices, personally. Big fan, big supporter of the sweats.
You should start doing that. You're not
Good
that far
thought.
from that.
Hey, and put a hoodie on for Pete's sake. We're tired of looking at your nipples.
Aww. It comes up every day. Number 4, embrace energy abundance. Democrats also need to show more pragmatism on energy. Trump has taken steps that he says will increase fossil fuel production and make energy more abundant. He plans to eliminate many of the subsidies and regulations that are designed to accelerate the transition to green energy and electric vehicles. And he's restricted environmental review processes, the costs of big energy and blah, blah, blah. Much of this has merit and popular support. Democrats, however, have been unremittingly hostile toward all of it. Agree?
Yeah.
I'm really trying hard to think about examples I have seen of anything that does that supports this article, or that Democrats or even singular Democrats are trying to do these things. And I am really struggling.
Let's say Eric Adams in New York has been behind the deportations.
And some of the things, this is another one we haven't really talked much about. Some of the things that Eric Adams has said, I think it was to Tucker Carlson, and this was a week or so ago. He was wanting to do a lot more hardline things on immigration. But he knew the minute I do it, the Biden administration is actually going to come after me. And then he did it anyway, and they did.
That is amazing.
They came after, and here's the examples he gave. He goes, at first I actually didn't connect these. He's like, I knew I was in dangerous territory even going against the party line a little bit publicly. But he said, the minute I started to talk about it, and I can't remember what specific action he had taken, but there was something specific he did. And then he goes, within a day of me doing that publicly, 2 of his, at least one, if not both, of his major donors got raided by the FBI.
That's wild.
That is a corrupt system. And that is why when we talk about Tulsi Gabbard taking over DNI and Pam Bondi taking over DOJ and Kash Patel, FBI under Tulsi, that's why you go, yeah, there needs to be serious reform, because that is using they were using it against their own party to keep people in line from just speaking out publicly against things that were going on in their own constituents' neighborhoods. That's how bad they were abusing these federal agencies. I can't believe, there's so much happening. That's like 2 random news items that we hadn't even third one that I'm like, oh, we need to discuss that. We haven't talked about it in this segment at all, is the Ukraine money. I don't know why I'm bringing it up now, just because we haven't discussed it. But Zelensky and many others from our current federal government are saying, yeah, of the $170-something billion we've sent to Ukraine, we can find about 70 of it. We don't know where the other 100 million went. They asked Zelensky. He's like, I never got that 100 million.
Oh, my gosh.
All of that is verified both by Zelensky and people on our side, that over half of the money we allocated to go to Ukraine either never made it to Ukraine or got like laundered through Ukraine to something else.
And no one talks about it. That's the craziest thing.
But Ethan, that's my point, is things are happening so fast right now that it's hard to keep up with the level of onion layers that are getting peeled back over and over every single day. And it's actually, I honestly, when I look back at the end of my life, I have no idea what my career is going to be from this day forward. But I would be glad to say that at least I was in political radio from 2018 to right now, 2025, hopefully longer. But I think honestly, people will look back at this era and go, wow, that's one that I would have loved. It's like people talk about the 60s. Wow, what a transformational era. We're in it right now. And it never looks like what you think it will. And it won't look like what we think it will. The next 4 years, it's not going to be the exact same thing as we're experiencing right now. It's going to be other stuff.
Yeah.
It's going to be stuff we weren't expecting. They're going to try to bring him down in ways we weren't expecting because they're not done with that. But it is incredible to be alive in America right now and experiencing what we're experiencing. Because, yeah, it's coming fast, but it is memorable. It's necessary change. And that's what's so fun about it, is that it's finally getting done. Stuff that we've been talking about for years is finally happening in actuality.
Well, and like to me, the thing about it is Annie is like this too. It's like nervous. I don't know. We talk about it. It's like, oh, if Trump gets in, he's going to do X, Y, and Z. And part of me, whenever that was happening, was like, I don't know how much of this he's going to actually get done. And he is getting a ton of it done, if not all of it. He's pretty much done everything he set out to say.
They've poked the pin into one balloon right now, and that is USAID. What happens to the next one? Like a lot of these places don't even have the head of Health and Human Services isn't even there yet. You know, like the head of the DOJ just got confirmed today.
No cabinet yet.
Yeah,
Marco Rubio.
That's it, and Treasury Secretary and Doug Burgum.
Yeah,
that's who you have so far, and Pete Hegseth. Hey, we forgot about Pete Hegseth.
Don't forget about Pete.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to went long. Let's take a quick break. And I told Marc Cox we'd talk to him at 1:25. We'll be a little bit after that. Stick around. Marc Cox coming up next to talk about these big picture things going on in America. Stick around.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Are you tired of feeling sick and tired? I'm Dr. Nick Barnes of Health From Within Family Chiropractic. Our simple 5-step approach aligns your health naturally. We correct spinal abnormalities to maximize nerve supply, focus on pure and simple nutrition, exercise and oxygen, mindset, and minimizing toxins in your body. Transform your health today with Health From Within, conveniently located on Manchester in Rock Hill, or online at healthfromwithinstl.com.
When you have Rhino Shield on your house, it does a couple of things for you. It beautifies the house, and it protects it from the harshest elements. And boy, do we see those here in the greater St. Louis area. You get instant curb appeal. It will stick to anything. Rhino Shield is the answer, no matter whether you're painting a home or a church or a business or a condo, because it's 100% waterproof. It takes care of the outdoor maintenance on whatever is on the outside of your home. The brick, the block, aluminum, steel, stucco. They can put this on with the 2 to 3 coat process. They're there about a week, and they do a great job. A lot of businesses have done it in the area. Several Firestones have done that. Vantage Credit Union over the years. Harlan Packaging down in DeSoto. Call Darren today and schedule your free estimate. 877-25-RHINO. Easy to remember phone number. Or go online today at 877-25-RHINO.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gsLHonorFlight.org. And for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Jeff Rainford.
The mayor got $500 million in federal money known as ARPA. You got $260 million in Rams money. It's almost like you're guaranteed to get reelected if you have $750 million in cash to spend. And yet, her numbers are an all-time low.
Weekdays from 3 to 6. This is the Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
And here's the reason why Elon Musk and others have been taking a look. Because if you look at the waste and abuse that has run through USAID over the past several years, these are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either, and that's exactly what Elon Musk has been tasked by President Trump to do, to get the fraud, waste, and abuse out of our federal government.
Yeah, and to get good use out of those things that we already paid for. Like, if I paid $40,000 for a transgender comic book, by golly, I want a copy of it. That's probably not where you thought this segment was going to go. It's certainly not where Marc Cox was going to go. Mark, thanks for being here.
Hey, glad to be here, Ryan. How are you?
Mark, we were talking about in the last segment, this is, at least as far as I'm concerned, now I've been in political news radio for about 6 or 7 years now. You've been in news and politics way longer than I have. But have you ever seen news that is happening so fast as this?
No, Ryan, it's like drinking out of a water hose. We were talking about, like a fire hose. We were talking about it this morning. And, I had Lucas Tomlinson on my show this morning. He's a correspondent with Fox News, and he was reporting out in front of the White House. He said that the mainstream media can't scramble fast enough to figure out the next emergency, right? Because it's a mile a minute with Donald Trump, and what's happened between Caroline Leavitt handling herself and like that bite you just played, or executive orders on boys and girls sports. I mean, maybe that's the headline this afternoon, or will they still be talking about us owning Gaza as the Riviera of the Middle East? I mean, they don't know where to go next. They don't have enough time to really ingest what he's just said, because they're working on the last thing he said.
Yeah, Mark, you got off the air at 9, and I saw you shortly after you got done, doing your normal recording stuff that you always have to do. But you know what? You and I were talking just briefly. This is the national conversation right now, because it seems like a lot of times who are in political talk, of course, we're always looking at politics and we're always like, oh my gosh, there's so much happening. But right now, this isn't just people who are interested in politics. It seems to me like America is having this conversation together.
Well, I'm glad you make that point, because as whether you're producing a newscast, which of course I was in the television news business for 25 years, or you're producing a radio talk show, or a national television talk show of some sort, you have to talk about subjects that people are not just hearing in the headlines, but that it's affecting their lives. And the things Donald Trump's doing right now, when it comes to tariffs, when it comes to cutting waste, these are things, energy, like drilling, that will eventually bring down the cost that we're paying at the pump. These are things that are impacting people in their wallets every day, and I think that there's a fascination right now with that. One of my friends who will go unnamed, who is quite liberal, wanted to get on me the week after the election. Like, I found Donald Trump had been president 6 days, and I get a text, why aren't my gas prices down yet? So whether this individual wanted to admit it or not, their life was focused on the next thing Donald Trump was going to do, and they're anxious to see exactly what that's going to be that's going to improve their quality of life. Now, I don't know how soon that'll happen. I don't think J.D. Vance or Donald Trump know how soon that's going to happen. But I've never seen more action taken by an American president and administration in the first 2 weeks and 1 day than we've seen with Donald Trump. And I don't see it slowing down. That's the thing about it. Every time I think, well, what can he do next? There's a new executive order or a new news conference.
Marc Cox is host of the Marc Cox Morning Show every morning right here on 97.1. I don't know about you, but I've been getting texts from people that I haven't heard from in a long time. It's kind of nice to catch up, but they also are not political people. And I won't say who this is, somebody in my extended family who Mark, I'm not kidding. I'm not sure I've ever really had a political conversation with this person. And out of the blue, they text me 2 nights ago and said, Trump did it. He twisted the arms of Canada and Mexico and has agreed to halt the tariffs on those countries for 30 days. And they've agreed to permanently spend billions on planes and technology to stop illegal immigration and trafficking of fentanyl into our country. And this is somebody, Mark, who never talks politics, was enamored by this subject. And I just wonder are you getting that in your life? You know, you're the host of a prominent morning show in St. Louis, so people obviously know where you stand. Are they coming to you out of the woodwork and being like, wow, I can't believe what's happening right now?
No, I'm still getting the pushback from the people that still need to find a reason to hate Donald Trump, to be honest. I mean, maybe it's a morbid fascination they have. They're waiting for him to fail at something, like the headline in the Wall Street Journal the other day after both Mexico and Canada walked up to the red line and backed away and struck a quick deal to delay tariffs 30 days. But the Wall Street Journal somehow positioned that as a loss, that Donald Trump bluffed but didn't follow through on his tariffs. I'm thinking to myself, I'm not sure whoever wrote this headline has thought this through very well, because, you know, it's not Donald Trump who blinked here. It was the Canadians and the Mexicans who said, well, we'll just increase our tariffs too. And then they realized that, you know, for example, we see that the oil pipeline, Canada threatened to cut off some of the oil that it sends to the U.S. But the pipeline that they use to send oil from the western part of Canada to the eastern part of Canada comes down into the continental United States and then back up in the eastern part of Canada. So I just still think they thought this through very well. We could just turn off the spigot in the middle somewhere, right, if we wanted to. Now, I don't know that it would ever get that far, but these are things that I'm not sure that the critics expected or have thought through very well, Ryan.
Mark, obviously, you and I, you know, we talk off air quite a bit. You and I agree on politics for the most part. We have our little disagreements, but for the most part, I think we're both celebrating the wins right now. And this is an honest question. That's why I preface it, because I'm not trying to score points here. Honestly, what in your assessment is the Democrat platform right now? Because I've struggled to answer this question.
Anti-Elon Musk, hate Elon Musk. I don't know what it is. All I know is that at every protest I've seen in Washington this week, everybody's screaming. Elizabeth Warren, Maxine Waters, they're all screaming about Elon Musk. He was never elected to anything. Who does he think he is that he can go into the Treasury Department and look at personnel files and decide who's going to get fired? And I thought to myself, wow, you know, their point was nobody elected Elon Musk, and they're concerned about his influence. And my thought was, well, I never voted for George Soros, but he had an undue influence on the Obama administration and certainly on the Biden administration. So their platform is misguided. Let's put it that way. If their platform is let's just try to win points by attaching Donald Trump to a billionaire that we don't like and trying to make that guy evil somehow, I think that's going to fall flat in a big hurry because anybody who knows Donald Trump knows that he takes a lot of advice. He listens to a lot of advice, but he makes his decisions on his own. And where was Elon Musk 4 years ago?
Well, Mark, you said, their platform is basically getting in front of a microphone and screaming about things, but you wouldn't describe this as screaming, would you?
All of those accesses are cut off.
And we will win. We will win.
Do you call that screaming? That seems pretty coherent to me.
Mad shrieking, maybe. I'm trying to come up with a better word for it. I heard Schumer. The guy's just so awkward that he's better off leaving that to somebody like Nancy Pelosi.
I didn't think you were going to say Nancy Pelosi right there. Mark, another kind of big picture question here is, are we seeing political change right now? Because we're coming in here talking about the things that are happening every day, but, taking a bigger step back here, are we seeing what the pendulum naturally does? That it's, we're in the midst of a big rightward swing right now, not just with politics, but with the approval of those policies. Like the American people are actually approving of what Donald Trump's doing. Or are we seeing something bigger that's a little more permanent? Is this a social change that's happening?
Boy, I hope so. I hope so. I have talked about this before, but I was a member of the Reagan Revolution. I mean, when that was my first real political activity, I remember going to a rally for Ronald Reagan in Cincinnati when he was running for office the first time, and I was too young to vote. My dad hauled me down there, and suddenly it was like an epiphany, and everything started to make sense to me. And what Ronald Reagan was saying was making a lot of sense to me. And then, of course, I watched what he did with the economy and what he did with the Soviet Union. If Donald Trump can be as effective for 2 years as he's been for 2 months, I think you're onto something, Ryan. I think that's the key to it is people hearing the rhetoric and seeing the executive orders and then seeing the action that follows up on it and then seeing real change that results from it. And that's when you start to talk about a real social buy-in to Donald Trump. And back then you had blue dog Democrats or that they referred to them as, who were the ones that supported Reagan and got him over the line. And then, it was a phenomenon, in my opinion. And he has the opportunity to do that. The Democrats will fight him, I'm sure, every step of the way in the next 2 years to keep that from happening.
Mark, the one thing that really does encourage me that I'm seeing, and again, this is tip of the iceberg because we're just talking about USAID right now and cutting some of that crazy spending that goes on there. If they start doing that to all these agencies, which they will, cutting off the amount of money that is your money, it's our money, that they are taking from us forcibly and funneling it to all these non-governmental organizations, these NGOs as they call them, that operate quote unquote as charities, but it's something like 95% of them are leftist organizations that no matter who the administration was, whether it was a Republican or a Democrat, this money went through these organizations anyway and funneled out into all aspects of our lives. And it's one of the reasons we see so much propaganda from the left is that we're funding it, and all of that's about to change.
Well, the adult tantrum that you saw yesterday in Washington, and there's no better way to describe it, outside of the Treasury building, is I thought to myself as I'm watching this, why is Jamie Raskin so emotionally involved in the possibility of the United States saving itself trillions of dollars? I mean, clearly he doesn't care that much about the condoms that were going to go to Gaza. But is there something else about the organization that was distributing the money, that money was landing back in an account that Jamie Raskin needed it to for his reelection? Follow the money, just like good investigative journalist. They need to follow the money on these accounts, and I think you'll get to a pretty quick answer as to why all of these politicians, particularly on the left, are so worried about this flow of money being cut off. And I think we will get to that answer here at some point.
Mark, I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate your morning show every day here on 97.1. Is there anything in particular we should look forward to? Any particular times to tune in tomorrow?
Yeah, well, we have we're fortunate enough to have Shannon Bream as a regular guest on the show. Of course, the host of Fox News Sunday, and I'm anxious to get her on tomorrow to talk about this tariff situation and the fact that now that Pam Bondi is sworn in as the Attorney General, in the Department of Justice, what's next? What is she? Because she covers the Supreme Court for Fox all the time, and I'm anxious to see which of those maybe either pending cases or cases that are about to get up there that were being pushed by the Biden administration can be withdrawn potentially under a new Attorney General. And my guess is Shannon's got some ideas on that, and we'll talk to her in the morning at about 8:20.
Sounds good. Mark, thank you so much. Appreciate your insights.
You bet. Thanks, Ryan.
And we will be listening tomorrow to the Marc Cox Morning Show, 5 to 9 a.m. Of course, if you're awake during any of that, you should tune in. I'm not saying you have to listen to the entire thing, but you can. Even if you can't be awake at 5 and listen all the way to 9, you can get the podcast for any of these shows, including the Marc Cox Morning Show, including the Annie Fry Show, which you are listening to right now. Annie Fry is off today, not because she wants to be, but because she sounds like a frog, in her own words. I have not heard her to confirm that she sounds like a frog. Brad says she sounds like Chuck Grassley.
She's just got a gravelly sounding voice right now.
Well, regardless, we hope that she will be back tomorrow. She is participating in the chat and just said ribbit. So I guess that confirms it. All right.
I can't wait for her to sing Rainbow Connection.
Well, that was a good joke. I like that. I like that we're ending on a solid joke from that segment. You know what I was going to end on? I was going to play more of that Carolyn Levitt outlining the things that the USAID was wasting our money on and just talking more about the things that we could have had, like a gender fluid opera in Brazil or whatever. There's so many random things in those clips, and it's just a drop in the bucket of all the money they've been wasting that we will not be wasting anymore here in the United States under a new president and new administration. Well, this is Ryan Wiggins filling in for Annie Fry. We will be right back.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
Taxes was not knowing your full financial picture. Now Taxes is getting and maximizing your refund all in one place. Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get you the most money back, guaranteed. Then you can do more with all that money, all in Credit Karma. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Get started today. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
Want immediate cash for your home or see what your home is really worth in today's market? Find out for free from the local experts. My friends Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. 314-336-1991. Check out thegelmanteam.com today. That's thegelmanteam.com.
What's it going to take for you to realize the IRS is in full-blown attack mode? And if you have IRS issues, your timely response is critical. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. We certainly know the IRS has ramped up efforts because we're seeing a lot more clients with threats of intents to seize property or levy rights to property. If you have IRS issues, call the Lance Drury Firm today. Today, don't wait. Those IRS notices have hard deadlines for exercising your appeal rights. If you miss the deadline, your rights to a legal appeal are gone. Let the Lance Drury Law Firm get between you and the IRS today, and we'll help you manage your case to achieve the best outcome. IRS problems are serious legal matters, so call Lance Drury Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Don't wait. Call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120, and schedule your free consultation with me, Lance Drury, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
At the Williams residence, everything looked kind of the same from the outside. But inside, their lives just got way happier. 3 years of inflation and debt had crushed them. But for the first time, they had the cash to secure their retirement, pay off bills, and plan their future. They didn't win the lottery exactly. They did a genius financial strategy called the Sell and Stay program from Truehold. It's easy. Their home's value had rebounded greatly, so they quickly sold it to Truehold and banked all that equity in cash. But since they weren't ready to move, they could stay put with an easy, affordable lease. Truehold even paid their property taxes, home insurance, and essential home repairs. Truehold unlocks your wealth without uprooting your life. Get a Truehold offer now while your home's value is high. Call 855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out your home's value without having to move. That's Truehold.com.
The YouTube live chat poll today. Grade Elon Musk and DOGE's efforts so far. 4 options: A, B, C, combined into 2, and D or F. So be sure to go and vote online on the Annie Fry Show on YouTube. The time is 1:46. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Submit your favorite fish fry at 971talk.com/events. We're taking the show on the road every Friday during Lent, and we're looking for suggestions. It's Fish Fry Fridays on The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
I don't know what they say in this song. Do you?
No. But I mean, it's gotten worse since
So they still perform this song?
Yeah, live. Is it, who's the lead singer of Motley Crue?
It's not. So is it Nikki Sixx and.
Is it Vince Neil?
Vince Neil, that's it.
Okay. Well, I did better than Annie on that one.
Yeah, you got it. Why, does he sound terrible now?
Well, he doesn't finish words. And
He's gained a little bit of weight as well.
I knew that.
Kind of looks like Danny DeVito with long hair.
Ooh, that's rough. Man. the funny, that Motley Crue, they're one of the funniest bands to see AI of because Vince Neil has that tone.
Yeah.
And it already sounds a little chaotic. And so if you take a beat and isolate it like AI can now,
yeah,
and then add in his vocals but just skew them, and it sounds insane. It sounds like you are losing your mind listening to it because it's close to being real, but just enough that you're like, this is the worst thing I've ever heard. There's a whole series of videos like that called What If They Sucked? And it takes all these band songs. AC/DC is another really good one that they'll take something like Thunderstruck and kind of mix up the words and put them off beat. So it's the same song, same lyrics, but it's just, what if they sucked? And this is what it would sound like. That's why the internet exists.
That is the reason.
It really is.
Right
It's
there.
for that stuff. Ryan Wiggins filling in for Annie Fry. You know what I really wanted to talk about, and Sue Thomas said she would maybe come in the 2 o'clock hour to talk about this if I can grab her, is the traffic. We'll discuss this at length, but what the heck is going on in downtown St. Louis, you guys? It is terrible. And I don't know about right now. Like, I'm not on the road right now, obviously, so if you are and it's bad and it's 1:49, then don't tell me about it because I dread going home. But wow, what the heck? Everybody, if you're trying to get to Illinois, you just can't.
You know,
It's hard.
I'm not even trying to get to Illinois. And the other night when I was leaving, which I leave after Mark Reardon's show ends around 6:30, 6:45. So you'd think the roads, it'll have cleared out a little bit by that point. And there was, a lot of commotion, a lot of traffic around, the bridges. And I was like, oh man, this is great. People are actually in the city. It's a Monday night, and like, what could be going on? And then I just realized it was traffic.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing unusual. It's just that they've closed too many lanes at the same time.
There are what, 4 main bridges to get out of downtown St. Louis? There's the Stan Musial Bridge, the Martin Luther King Bridge, the Eads Bridge, and the Poplar Street Bridge, and they all have something going on them.
Yeah. That's not good planning, guys.
Give McKinley its respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to go north to get to McKinley.
Yeah, but if you're going into Illinois, you can go out in the McKinley. If you're coming from Illinois, it is not easy to get to the McKinley Bridge.
So before I was full-time with 97.1, I used to be part-time and go back and forth, work here at 97.1, but also at KMOX.
Mm-hmm.
And Cardinals games would often end late, and the shift would usually end at midnight. So I would go home, and when I still lived in Illinois, before I was married, I would, go home pretty late. And one night, there was a wreck on the Stan Musial Bridge that closed it off. So all of a sudden, with a dead phone, that's an important key detail, I had to figure out what bridge I could take and figure out how to get home. And I got stuck in good old North St. Louis. And I'm just driving through streets, just trying to figure out how I can get to McKinley.
Yeah.
And I finally figured it out. But, I mean, it was after midnight. At this point, it was probably 12:30, 12:45. And I'm just driving streets, just trying to just kind of hide below the steering wheel here. And just, it was a little nerve-wracking.
My last time on the McKinley Bridge was whenever that warehouse caught on fire next to the Stan Musial Bridge, and they had the Stan Musial Bridge completely shut down because of the smoke.
Remember when that
was? That was earlier.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's that warehouse that sits right next to the bridge as you get across on the St. Louis side.
Gotcha.
But I was coming back from Bethalto because that's where my dentist is, and
Good old B-Town.
Yep. And you have to go down, I think it's like the Great River Road and then Route 3, and then that helps you get on there. And so I was able to come this way to St. Louis because it dumps you on and you can get on the highway and you're good to go. But going back to my house, if I took the McKinley Bridge out, that would be so far out of my way because I have to get to 64 to get back to O'Fallon.
I'm trying to talk to Sue Thomas. I think she's done. I'm trying to get her in here. Come in, Sue. There, I just texted her.
Nice. Way to do radio.
I know. Hey, look, when you're the fill-in host, this is what you get.
Sue. We're usually better at recognizing that somebody's involved in something else to keep going, but I looked over as I finished, and Ryan had his phone up. I was like, uh-oh.
She won't even get this text. If she's able to come in by the end of the segment, I want answers, and I want them now because I get mad. Man, here's what's crazy. So I'm going home on Monday night, and I've got to pick up one. Annie says hello. We'll just say that. Hi, Annie. So I'm going home Monday night, and I've got to pick up multiple kids and be at multiple spots. And Annie's not here because she's sick. Everybody in St. Louis is sick. My whole family's sick. I'm picking them up at different places than I usually do. Babysitters, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to estimate what time am I going to be there.
Right.
And I'm telling them, okay, the clock right now, the ETA says it'll be about 4:45, 5 o'clock. I didn't get out of St. Louis downtown. We're downtown right now. I didn't get out of downtown St. Louis till at least 5:45.
What?
It was an hour from when I left. So the time, that's a little off, but it was an hour for me to get from here to over a bridge. That's how bad it was Monday.
I had the same experience. I think it was like almost 6 o'clock whenever I was crossing the Eads.
Yeah. And you look at these multiple bridges and you go, look, I'm no genius. But if you're going to shut down all of 255, then you're going to have a lot of Midwest traffic transport like trucks and stuff coming through downtown St. Louis now that you wouldn't have otherwise. And that's part of what's going on. But then you got multiple lanes shut down when you get slightly over the Poplar and on the Poplar. And then you got multiple lanes shut down, or at least one lane on the Stan Musial Bridge. Mm-hmm. So you're shutting down lanes at the same time as you're doing these major projects. Now, I don't know if that's IDOT not talking to MoDOT or IDOT not talking to IDOT, but I'm pretty sure that IDOT ain't talking to IDOT because I think a lot of that is on the Illinois side, and that doesn't surprise me a whole lot.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Would you rather get stuck in traffic and have to sit there for an hour, or drive out of your
The
way
second one.
and perhaps have to drive the same amount
That's
of
what I
time
did.
just to
I
get
did
out
that
of the way?
this morning.
Okay, all right, because I'm the kind of person that I just hate sitting in traffic.
Yes.
I would rather drive the same amount of time that it takes to sit in traffic and get through it, but at least I'm driving. At least I'm going in another way to get there with the potential of maybe it goes by a little bit quicker.
And I tried to do that Monday.
How'd that go?
Worse. Because I left where I was thinking, oh, there's some sort of problem here.
And
if
it was
I
just
leave,
everywhere.
It was everywhere. And so it actually took me longer to get out. And let me tell you how bad the guy in front of me was feeling what you're talking about. I could see this guy through the back window. I could see kind of his silhouette.
Mm-hmm.
And I was behind him for a long time because I was in traffic for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just waiting to get onto the bridge onto 64. This guy, I don't know if he was crazy or if he was having a bad day. Sue's here. But he was just holding a knife up near his face and just twirling it around in his hands. And I watched this guy for 15 minutes going, is he going to hurt himself? What is this guy doing? But all of us felt pretty bad at that moment. And I was like, God, please help that man to not hurt himself with the knife that he's holding near his right eye. Traffic was that bad. Sue is here. Traffic coordinator here.
What?
Fix traffic.
What has happened? Wait, Wiggins, are you talking about the day when traffic
Monday.
was terrible?
Yes.
Going into Illinois, and it was jammed from Van to Venner all the way across the bridge.
Yes.
Where
Why
did
haven't
you see
fixed
a
that
man
yet?
with a knife?
It was trying to get on the ramp to 64.
From?
From like down near Taco Bell and wherever that is down there. That ramp that's south of the stadium.
Oh, okay.
That one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
this
my
guy,
gosh.
I mean, people were losing their minds. It was awful. And so that's when I was texting you. I'm like, Sue,
yes,
what's happening?
Yeah, we were getting like active updates from Sue about you, Ryan Wiggins. She
yeah,
was saying
but I
Ryan
didn't know
Wiggins
there was
is
a knife-wielding person involved
I
in
left
this
that
tale.
part out. I left
Thank
that
you
part
for
out
that.
because I thought it would be a good
That
story
would
for
have
the
been
radio.
Great content for traffic.
But honestly, now that you're here as the authority on such issues,
I don't
what
know.
is going on? Like Monday was the worst. Yesterday was a little bit better, but still bad.
They were doing bridge work repair, but they finished yesterday, so it should be fine right now. It was eastbound 5570, 2 left lanes down between 64 and 203, but they got the work finished, so that's why it's fine. It looked better yesterday afternoon at like 5:30 when they got it done.
Well, it still wasn't great. So you're saying that maybe today is going to
Today
be better?
should be fine.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, 255 is still closed, and if more people are taking the Poplar, that could affect it. But yes, the nightmare should be over, because that coincided with the first day of the closure of 255.
But isn't that what's causing all of these trucks that are just traveling through the Midwest to go through downtown instead of taking that south loop?
Probably.
So that's not going to go away, though.
Well, it's jamming up 157.
Well,
But
that's
I
right
guess,
by where I live, and I haven't seen it as much there as I have here.
Well, the people are lying to me then at IDOT.
157 runs parallel to 255 in Illinois, and so
Right.
where the closure is south of where you're at, Ryan.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Way south of you, south of 64. So it's 15 to 1. Where I think 157 goes around in what, Cahokia?
I don't know. I'll have
Close
to look at it
down
map.
in that area.
Well,
But yeah, so it was a perfect storm of the two things, all on the first day.
Well, okay, so I'm glad to hear that maybe it's getting a little
It
better.
should be better today.
Tell me if this is fair.
Yes.
We'll close on this.
Yes.
Is it fair that anytime I have a traffic problem anywhere, I just blame you?
The answer to that is no. No, that is not fair.
Okay.
You should just text me.
But sometimes it's the weekends, you know?
Oh, okay, don't text me.
All right, we'll be right back.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
They're not ruling anything out. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. The White House defending the president's plan to rebuild Gaza while facing many follow-up questions, including on whether he would send U.S. troops.
President Trump's plan for the U.S. to own Gaza, to rebuild and redevelop the territory, won't necessarily mean a U.S. troop presence.
The president has not committed to putting boots on the ground in Gaza. He has also said that the United States is not going to pay for the rebuilding of Gaza.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says the president's plan is an out-of-the-box idea.
His goal is lasting peace in the Middle East for all people in the region.
Asked at a news conference Tuesday about U.S. troops in Gaza, President Trump said he'd do whatever is necessary to take over Gaza. Arab leaders have rejected any plan that resettles Palestinians from Gaza.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. Jordan's king visits the White House next week. An EU foreign policy spokesperson says the European Union remains committed to a two-state solution and considers Gaza an integral part of a future Palestinian state. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the administration owes it to the American taxpayer to review how money is being spent by foreign aid agency USAID.
Our goal for USAID was to align the programs that it fulfills with the foreign policy of the United States. What would be a gift to our geopolitical rivals is billions of dollars in foreign aid that is not aligned to the national interest in the foreign policy of the United States.
Rubio telling reporters the original intention was to keep the agency running during the review, but he says lack of cooperation led to a shutdown. Democrats in Congress pushing back on cuts led by Elon Musk.
An unelected billionaire with controversial ties to China has access to personal information for every American.
But House Democratic Caucus Chair Pete Aguilar says the caucus is not focused on a new impeachment effort announced by Texas Democratic Congressman Al Green. America is listening to Fox News.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
The first of two weather systems coming by this afternoon. Cloudy skies with periods of rain and drizzle. 45 for the high tonight. Rain, a couple of spot non-severe thunderstorms. Temperatures actually rising a little bit overnight. Thursday, a mix of clouds and sunshine. Couple of showers possible, but not a lot. 50. Clear and cold Thursday night, 31. Friday's quiet. More rain Friday night and into Saturday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Before I met my lawyer, I felt hopeless. I felt soon to be homeless. And after I met my lawyer, I got that hope back. I was like, yes, we can do this, gave me the energy to go. I just want people to know that there's always help out there. Go out there and look for it and go get it.
Visit MissouriLawyersHelp.org to learn more. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Brought to you by the Missouri Bar.
Imagine this, a summer evening, relaxing under a beautiful porch overhang, hosting your friends on a composite deck, or enjoying a bug-free breeze in a screened room. That sounds dreamy, right? Hi, it's Kim, and that dream can be your reality with Lakeside Renovation and Design, because They specialize in creating outdoor spaces that make your backyard the go-to spot for family and friends. And with their attention to detail and the high-quality materials they use, you'll have a space that lasts for years. Visit lakesideRD.com today to get started on your outdoor oasis.
You want to retire soon, but everyone keeps telling you to wait until you're 65. After all, that's the age that you qualify for Medicare and you're close to full retirement age. I'm Marvin Mitchell, president of Compass Retirement Solutions. In my new book, Retire Early, The 9 Critical Decisions When Retiring Before 65, I discuss proper planning to help make early retirement possible. When to take Social Security, what to do with your 401k, healthcare, how to maximize retirement income, and much more. Get a complimentary copy of Retire Early by calling 1-800-743-8510. That's 1-800-743-8510. Can you retire early? Call 1-800-743-8510 for your copy of Retire Early, The 9 Critical Decisions When Retiring Before 65.
Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Compass Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
Eggland's Best, the only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Available in so many delicious varieties: classic, cage-free, organic, free-range, and pasture-raised. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
We know you've got an interesting take on things. You can tell us by clicking the microphone button next to Listen Live when you're on the Odyssey app. Record a short message for us to hear when you tune into 97.1 on the Odyssey app.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
The Annie Fry Show, sans Annie today. She has a froggy voice, and she'll be back tomorrow, we hope. YouTube live chat poll today is grade Elon Musk and DOGE's efforts so far, A, B, C, D, or F. So we have been talking about DOGE quite a bit today.
DOGE, the Department of Governmental Efficiency.
And here's the reason why Elon Musk and others have been taking a look. Because if you look at the waste and abuse that has run through USAID over the past several years, these are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either, and that's exactly what Elon Musk has been tasked by President Trump to do, to get the fraud, waste, and abuse out of our federal government.
In theory, I like what she's doing here and saying.
Yeah.
There is a missing component that I think they could go one step further and say, look, you paid for a trans opera. You're going to get to see it if you want to see it. And then they fly everybody to Ireland, and we can all see the trans opera. We paid for it.
Seems wasteful.
Oh, well, what about if we get to the DEI musical and a trans opera, which are different things apparently, because she listed them separately. But what about the trans comic book?
What about it?
Well, don't we all get a copy? We paid for it.
Yeah, but I thought we paid for it so that we could give it to other people.
Well, I just think right now that that's making news. This is the way things happen, Brad. This is the economy of
okay,
art.
so we paid for it. You want a copy of it.
I want a copy of it because now that it's getting all this attention, it's like Hunter Biden paintings. They're valuable because people talk about them. So now that comic book's probably worth a lot more because it's in the news. That's the way things work.
What they should do is they should collect all the comic books that they printed out and then sell them to offset the cost of all the other wasteful spending in USAID.
Or talk it up so much that you raise the value, then you have the copies, then you sell them and offset the cost.
Don't print a bunch. Got to be a limited run.
Don't print a bunch. Like they did with the Brett Hull comics at McDonald's when I was a kid.
Oh, that was frustrating because I thought those were going to be worth a lot of money.
I did too. And they're only kind of valuable if you're our age in St. Louis.
I hadn't even thought about those until you brought it up, and I was like, oh, yeah.
Those were sweet, though, weren't
I think
they?
I got my first one down at the Riverboat McDonald's.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I got that. And
that had to be toward the end of the Riverboat McDonald's.
Yes, and then I also got them. I also got the St. Louis Cardinals baseball cards. You remember the classic Cardinals baseball cards that you could get at
Definitely,
McDonald's?
I had the whole set.
Had them all, too.
And you know what the hardest one to get was? And it was either Cardinals set or the Blues set, I don't remember, but it was the card set. And there was one card that was harder to get than all the others. Do you remember what it was?
Oh, no.
It was the checklist.
Oh, that's right.
That you couldn't get the checklist
Yes.
because they didn't make, and I don't think they did this on purpose. Now they do this on purpose,
Right.
and create false demand. But at the time, they're like, no kid wants to open the pack and get a checklist. But we do have to make a checklist, so they printed less of those, and then that became the one everybody wanted.
Man.
Those were the days, man.
Going back, man, you're talking about McDonald's. Like, that was the part of the field trip whenever I was in grade school. You'd go to the Arch, and then we're going to have McDonald's for lunch on the riverboat.
Oh, yeah. It was the best. Man, I still have all those. I have all the card sets. I have all my comic books. And my kids are 10, 10, and 7. And when I decide, which is not that often, like once a year max, all right, let's go through Dad's old stuff. They're like glued to the TV.
Man.
They can't wait to go through my old stuff.
I remember loving doing that whenever I was a little kid.
Yeah, I don't know that my dad collected enough stuff like that for me to have that experience, but I bet I would have too.
Yeah.
Especially in that era, because it would have been from the 50s and 60s. And that stuff would have been really valuable now, whatever it was. I wish you would have saved it. Well, that was some of the things that DOGE is going to cut and that you're never going to get, apparently, because Caroline Levin hasn't thought that part through.
A little bitter.
I really like the sounder that we made for DOGE, but I kind of like this one better. It hits a little harder.
DOGE.
Come on! Yeah, there we go. That's good stuff. I think we have to use those more. So we've been talking about DOGE today because that's today's YouTube live chat poll. We might as well discuss it since we're talking about it. Grade Elon Musk and DOGE's efforts so far. A, B, C, D, or F. Brad, what say you?
I am an A, but because A+ isn't on here, I am very satisfied, very excited with what's going on. I know why. I know that I'm super excited about what's going on because I'm also equally horrified at what they're uncovering.
Yeah.
Like it uncovers emotions that I didn't know I had, and it makes me angry because that's what they like. People pay a lot in taxes, and they go out there and they're like, oh, well, we got to raise more taxes so we can pay more stuff. And finally, somebody's going, where's this money going? What do you need it for? The tax the millionaires and the billionaires.
That was Elizabeth Warren, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Elizabeth Warren. So sad. But they go out there and they say they want more taxes. They rip on Trump's tax cuts. Those are tax cuts for the wealthy. All this other stuff. You know what? You don't need the money because you're not using it for a good purpose. This is just honeypot stuff. You're using it for pet projects. And, I thought they were overpaying for plants and stuff like that. Weird stuff.
Yeah, the stuff that you'd hear Rand Paul being like, oh, shrimp on a treadmill.
Right,
no,
stupid.
That kind of
but,
stuff.
they get in there, and we're talking about DEI musicals in foreign countries. Why are we trying to shape the culture of our Western allies?
Of Serbia and Ireland and Peru.
Leave them alone.
What? Why are we doing this? It's not just those things, though. That shows kind of the heart behind it, which is important. But, it was $40,000. That's a lot to me, but $40,000 is absolutely nothing to one of these agencies. It doesn't mean it shouldn't be cut.
It's less than a rounding error in some of this stuff.
Exactly. And so, again, that's stuff that should be cut, and it's stuff that makes headlines, so I'm glad they talk about it. But ultimately, these things, the more you look at them, the more you put them under the microscope, the more they start to really just look like money laundering operations.
Yes.
And it's sad to know that this is stuff that's been going on for years. And here's what really bothers me about it. Probably everybody in Congress kind of knew that was going on. Marjorie Taylor Greene, for all of her faults, tried to introduce a bill to defund USAID a year or two ago.
Yeah.
And got some Republican support, but not much. And, I mean, the bill wasn't going to go anywhere because President Biden was the president and Democrats controlled the Senate.
Yeah.
But the fact that people did know that this was a thing and wouldn't really do anything about it means they were in support of it.
Well, and the other side of that is it's Marjorie Taylor Greene introducing the bill, and they have done a wonderful job of painting her as some like crazy person. At the very least, everybody knows when Marjorie Taylor Greene does something, it's outlandish, outrageous. It's a get eyes on me. So whenever she says something like that, everybody's natural inclination is to think, oh, well, she's just exaggerating. But she wasn't.
Yeah. We said at the last hour that there's been all this waste and, you know, they funnel these money. It's unfortunately, this is actually the way I'd like to see some of these projects go, is that instead of the government doing it, they give it to a private charity who theoretically could do it better than the government. The problem is they pick and choose these charities to basically be Southern Poverty Law Center and these far, far left organizations that have almost nothing to do with actual charity. Even some of them have Christian on the on the label, on the title, but their whole point is to funnel money. That's why they exist. And so there's a whole lot of organizations right now that are in full-blown panic because they're sending all these workers home. They're moving this USAID under the State Department. I read it this morning that there are some employees that are exempt from this because you have to have congressional approval to get rid of them. Because if somebody went through congressional approval, you have to have congressional approval to fire them. And usually that's something that just happens behind the scenes and nobody knows it happens because everybody just rubber stamps these things.
Yeah.
This isn't going to happen here. So what Trump did is he got rid of everybody who's not one of those employees. And I think the deadline is today at 3 or tomorrow at 3.
The 7th.
So today's the 5th. Okay, so it's Friday. All of them will be fired, but then 24 hours ahead of time, some of them will find out that they are essential enough to keep. Probably not a lot of them, but some of them will. And he's recalled all these people from overseas to be home now. So if you're abroad doing work for these organizations, you're coming home. They are doing a full-throated audit on all this stuff. And the best thing about it is that it's happening. The worst thing about it is that it hasn't happened before.
Yeah.
And that's what's sad.
I've seen a lot of outrage about, there's like, oh, you're causing these people to uproot their families, that, 10,000 people across the world, you're bringing them home. It didn't have to be that way.
No.
It didn't have to be that way. You could have been responsible with what the U.S. government was sending you in the first place.
Yeah. And honestly, until we heard this
And
kind of
we
stuff,
will win! We will win!
until they went nuts and just started chanting and protesting and having press conferences over cutting government waste. The talking point I was seeing them go with as to why this was bad, because they didn't really know why it was bad. They just knew it was bad. Let me find out why it's bad later. But the one they were going with was, oh, it's really sad because we're losing so many jobs. I don't think you understand what the government does. I don't think you understand jobs. I don't think you understand why people even have jobs. Yeah. People don't open companies to make jobs. They open companies to make money, and it creates jobs because that furthers the goal of making a profit. That's really basic stuff. And if you just tuned into 97.1 for the first time, you're like, I think these people might be idiots. Hopefully you did think that because you already know that that's such a basic fact.
Right.
That it shouldn't have to be said. Yet, when CBS News and whoever are writing articles that say, think of the jobs, I don't think you understand jobs. And I definitely know you don't understand the government.
That, or they just think that little of you, the listener.
Or the reader, yeah. Before we get to the next break, I brought this up because it's fascinating. It's one of the things that has been in the headlines, but there's so many other big headlines right now that this fact has gone unnoticed. But I'll give it to you here. It's from Politico. Greenland's Prime Minister, Mute Egede, called for an early election on March 11th. Amidst geopolitical tensions, and this is now Politico's spin. Now, that was the one line you get that's factual. The rest of this is spin. Geopolitical tensions caused by U.S. President Donald Trump's threats to acquire the Arctic island. They are going to have the rest of this article. By the way, I kept it up because it's
to acquire it.
Yeah, I could go into this. It's
we
so
call
bad.
it an offer.
Yeah. The Politico article gives you no actual information about this election. It just keeps trashing Trump. So I looked up another article from Reuters, which is not much better, but at least it gives you a little more information on this. And I want you to be informed. Greenland's prime minister announced on Tuesday that the semi-autonomous Danish territory will hold a general election on March 11th amid interest by U.S. President Donald Trump in acquiring the Arctic island. That's a little more fair. The top issues in this election, this is the important part, the top issues in this election campaign are expected to be Greenland's independence aspirations and relations with Denmark and the United States, as well as the fragile economy, which depends on fishing and Danish grants. So there you go. They called and are holding a special election that has to do with Greenland's independence. What do you think is going to happen?
I don't know, man. I feel like I've seen this one before. So history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. And I believe Texas wanted to be part of the United States. And they wanted to be part of the United States, and they wanted to be part of the United States. The United States are, no, that's going to cause trouble with Mexico. Well, Texas then fought a war, declared independence from Mexico, was an independent country for a while, and then they're like, hey, we want to be part of the United States.
Ooh.
The United States is like, hey, come on in. So I'm not saying that it's going to be a war, but Greenland may want independence so that it's less messy than to join the United States.
Yeah, I'm not sure they'll join the United States either. But I do know that if they are independent of Denmark, they can make a lot of big financial decisions that they can't now. Now, they already have some autonomy, so it's not as if they couldn't make any decisions. But this would be a step toward making big decisions because they could do anything they wanted at that point. Now, the one reason I think that if they declare independence, that they might still consider becoming, not a U.S. state, I know that's the big sexy headline, but a U.S. territory.
Yeah.
That they actually, I think that's very possible because they have no military. In fact, the only military there is, I think, our base.
The Danish military.
Okay, well, other than Denmark. That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean. Other than them, I think we're the only other country with some presence there. So I could see them saying, well, shoot, because Donald Trump said it. This is a big route for Russia and China. That's why he wants the island.
Well, yeah, like if you look at the North Sea, you've got Greenland, Iceland, and then England. And those are the shipping lanes you get through because Russia doesn't have a lot of warm water ports. I think maybe the only one they have is out by Ukraine. And Ukraine, they can't get out because Turkey has shut down the Dardanelles, brought the Dardanelles back up.
Thank you.
But it's the straits that allow them to get in the Mediterranean. So their only way out from Russia, I believe right now, I could be missing one, is through that North Passage. And so they want to have U.S. and allied NATO coverage of those passages completely.
And Dardanelles is one of the Ninja Turtles, as I understand
That's
it.
Donatello.
So Reuters reporting that Greenland is going to have this special election. This is March 11th. It's actually not that far away, so we're talking about a month from now. We could be finding out that Greenland has declared independence and could end up becoming, now this would be another process, a U.S. territory, but it's really, really interesting the fact that this is happening. And nobody's really reporting on it. I've only seen a couple articles about it, and I had to really dig for these. So keep your eye on it. One more thing before we move past the DOGE stuff and the budget and all that. We mentioned the last hour that Zelensky and some U.S. sources are saying that that $170-something billion that we sent to Ukraine or allocated to Ukraine, not even half of it actually made it to Ukraine. Where did the $100 million of the $170-something million go? They're trying to find out because somewhere between here and there, it got intercepted and moved into who knows what.
Into a fund.
Into, a slush fund for somebody. And hopefully we'll find out where that money is. But the reason I bring that up, because we're talking about, that's $100 billion, okay? Consider that if you offered Greenland $60 billion to become a U.S. territory or state, whatever.
Okay.
What you're saying is, I did the math wrong. I almost had it.
Almost.
It was something like $1 million per person.
Oh, yeah, don't make that mistake. I've seen those mistakes.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Elon Musk has.
I caught it. But I saw the math and I was like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, think about it. There's only 60,000 people on the island. So you could offer each of them a lot of money. Let's say, just make it easy and say $1 million. You could offer each of them $1 million and be spending very little in comparison to how much we spend on some of these crazy programs. And every citizen in Greenland could be a millionaire. That's the kind of offer that I think is rolling around in the back of their heads during these votes, going, you mean we could be crazy wealthy? 60,000 people. That's not very many people. That's not even the size of, like, what did I say one day? It's like roughly the size of St. Charles or something. I don't remember what it was.
Super small.
But it's very, very small. So I just wanted to bring that up and keep that on your radar as we go about our days here. We're going to take a short break and come back and talk a little bit more about things that people have stopped buying in 2024. These are ways that you could be saving money, possibly. These are ways that people have already decided to save money, and we'll get to that next.
This is The Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid residents in need of care at home. If you need assistance with daily activities, you can receive in-home care from a loved one that lives with you and they get paid. Through Medicaid with no cost to you, Freedom Care allows you to choose who provides your care at home in St. Louis and they get paid instantly. This is 100% free to you. Call now to check your eligibility. It can be your daughter, son, a close relative, or trusted friend helping you with cooking, transportation, laundry, and other activities in your own home. You get the help you need and your caregiver gets paid instantly. Freedom Care has over 7,000 five-star Google reviews and is a leading choice in St. Louis for in-home care. If you have Medicaid and want great care from a loved one that's free to you through Medicaid, go to freedomcare.com or call 314-597-1749, 314-597-1749, 314-597-1749.
Local news can come at you fast. Want the latest on what's happening in your backyard? Download the free Odyssey app. Follow your local news station, and you'll get alerts on the top stories making headlines in your city. You can stay in the know, no matter what you're up to, and be among the first to find out when news breaks. Plus, keep tabs on weather and traffic, so you're never caught off guard. To get started, download the Odyssey app. That's AUDACY, and follow your local news station.
Well, homeowners, it seems as if everybody who wanted to sell their home last year is finally starting to take action now. If you're ready to sell, I strongly recommend you call my friend and St. Louis real estate expert Gloria Liu with your home sold guaranteed realty. Marc Cox here. Why should Gloria be your first call? Well, let's ask the O'Neill family. Gloria sold their home for $30,000 over list price. Or the Krupp family. Gloria sold their home over one weekend for $25,000 over asking price. Or maybe the Cox family, who received multiple offers and sold for $20,000 over the list price, which, by the way, was the highest sales price for the subdivision ever. You get my point. Not every home sells over list price, but one thing is for sure. Gloria Liu is going to get you the most money possible for your home, and she'll guarantee your agreed-upon price. Call her today at 314-325-6888 or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group. Are you worried about market volatility? Are you concerned your money won't last you through retirement?
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw, and as a family-owned business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. We have a lot of folks that aren't aware of all the new investment choices that are available, which give you growth and protection from losses at the same time. Are you aware of all the fees that you are currently paying? We can show you how to avoid those fees. So come in now for your free retirement review and get a second opinion on your retirement plan. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. Let us show you how to retire with confidence.
We are proud to say we haven't lost a penny of our clients' money in 30 49 years, and we won't lose a penny of yours either. Let our family help your family. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
The colder weather is a great excuse to practice your Second Amendment skills inside at the Range St. Louis West. Marc Cox here from my friends at the Range, 14803 Manchester Road out in Baldwin. I told you they have the best training in town. February 19th, the Range is co-hosting a women's self-defense workshop at the West County Gracie Barra location. You can get the details on all these events and how to sign up on their website. It's therangestl.com or follow them on Facebook.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
Want to listen to 97.1 outside the listening area? There's an app for that. Download the Odyssey app, and one tap will turn the station on. The Odyssey app for 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Fry Show.
Hey, baby, won't you look my
Follow
way?
Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Hey, baby, what you gotta say? All you're giving me is fiction.
Maria, last night we heard that the U.S. Postal Service was temporarily blocking packages coming from China and Hong Kong. But now that's changed.
Yeah, Shayla, the U.S. ban on parcels from China and Hong Kong didn't last long. Less than 24 hours after implementing the ban, the U.S. Postal Service said it will resume accepting all inbound mail and packages from China and Hong Kong. This back and forth is linked to a trade fight between the U.S. and China that has led each country to impose new tariffs on each other. People in Hong Kong don't believe they should be caught up in the U.S.-China politics.
The imposing the duties and the other thing like isekai political war, which is affecting the local people, not just in Hong Kong but in other places too.
President Trump believes the packages from China are one of the ways that deadly fentanyl gets into the U.S. And he says China's refusal to stop it is the reason for the 10% tariffs against them. Now, many Americans like to buy clothes and household items from places like Shein or Temu. So this initial mailing suspension was worrisome for some people who recently ordered from those companies. Shayla?
Right, important information. Maria Lizignoli reporting.
Yeah, Annie actually sent that video over. She is okay. She just has no voice today, so hopefully she'll be back tomorrow. But one of the things she mentioned is something that I also have experienced, and that is that if you're using Temu, some people, are saying, "Oh, your packages have been delayed." Well, surprise, surprise, if you order something from Temu, your packages were already delayed the minute you ordered them.
Yeah.
They take forever
do
to
they
get
do
here.
like drop shipping or something like that?
I have no idea. I just know that when I order it, I think whenever this gets here, great. I have no expectation because it's coming from China. I don't really order a lot on there. I think the last thing I ordered was in early December. I purchased those flimsy little lunch boxes for my kids because they were like $1. And I knew these are going to be $10 if I order them here, but this place has them so cheap. I'll just order a few, and when they come in, and I don't care. That's really it. That's all I've ordered.
Temu is direct from China, right?
Yeah.
So when you order it, it's whatever it takes to get from their factory to your doorstep, and maybe that's why it takes so long.
Annie just is on the chat, by the way, if you want to talk to her, which I would suggest. If you talk to us, we're just idiots. Talk to Annie. She knows what she's doing. They have the same policies that TikTok uses to take all your information, she says. That's very true. That's the reason I don't use it on my phone. Maybe I think I'm protecting myself by using a computer, but probably not.
Maybe not.
It's probably the same thing.
My thing is this, is I see anything that comes out of China as far as software goes, and I'm like, no, thank you. I don't care how convenient or how good it is. Remember when DeepSeek came out, that AI thing, like a week or so ago, and it like shook the world? Mm-hmm. People were like, oh, DeepSeek, let's get that. I'm like, no.
Don't get that. Well, it's the same, though, because I'll download once in a while, and I don't do this a lot, but I'll download a game on my phone, and then it'll come up, and it's clearly got hieroglyphics
Spyware
from a language I don't know, and it's probably Chinese Mandarin. And I instantly go, what did I just do? I probably just did the same thing as download TikTok on my phone, you know? I mean, it's the same stuff, but that's one of the reasons I don't order stuff a whole lot from these dropship websites or whatever from China. But, man, it's tempting sometimes when things are so cheap.
But why did they put that ban in? The one that they were talking about on CBS.
Well, that's confusing because they've rescinded it now, and it's unclear whether or not somebody just misread it because it was so fast that they changed it back to no, you can actually ship these things in. That I don't know if there was a policy that was supposed to just be temporary that halted shipping.
Are there other items that are banned from China?
I don't know. I just saw the headline that everybody else saw that all of a sudden they're not accepting packages from China, but it lasted 24 hours. So it makes me wonder if it was actually not intended and somebody implemented something they weren't supposed to.
Maybe it wasn't ready yet.
Immediately rescinded it. But it brings up a different issue that I've been wanting to talk about with Brad all day and really haven't had time. Weird dovetail here. But Brad has been researching Senator Mike Lee from Utah. Because
not Senator Mike Lee.
Who? Based
Mike Lee?
Based Mike Lee to see if this Twitter account is actually Senator Mike Lee.
Yes.
And you think you've discovered that it is.
Yeah, I think that he said that it is him. So I looked, there was an article from the Bulwark, and the article from the Bulwark was referring to it like, yeah, this is definitely Mike Lee, and he's a crazy whenever he jumps on his Based Mike Lee account.
So he says different things on different accounts? Is that why he has them?
He has his senatorial account, and then his private account is Mike Lee at Based Mike Lee.
So there's the official and there's the unofficial.
Senator Mike Lee. Like Eric Schmidt has Senator Eric Schmidt, and then he also has Eric Schmidt as his personal Twitter account. So there's a senatorial one, and then his personal.
So just like me, I have at Radio Wiggins on Twitter, and then I have Stacey Dash,
right,
who's my burner account.
Yeah. Sure, that's accurate. Anyway, so I looked through another article, and it was, I think it was a newspaper out of Utah, and they're saying, is Mike Lee wasting his time and wasting taxpayers' time being chronically online? And then I saw an article in the New York Post, and what the article in the New York Post quoted was Mike Lee using his senatorial account to say that his Based Mike Lee, his personal account, got shut down for impersonation. And he's like, that's not an impersonation. That's actually me. Unban this account.
Okay, but the information you found on there, you determined to be real, which is the whole point of this, right?
Yeah. So
because this
Mike
is crazy stuff. Like, I shouldn't say crazy, but it's just like, whoa, what is that?
To the best of my knowledge, Based Mike Lee is Senator Mike Lee's personal account.
Okay.
And I came across this because I like following Based Mike Lee because, like the Bulwark article said, there's some awesome stuff on there. And one of these things that came across was he makes an argument. It's a tweet thread saying that letters of marque and reprisal could be used to hamstring cartels.
What are letters of marque?
Okay, so if you remember your history, you go all the way back to the beginning of the Revolutionary War. The founder of the American Navy, John Paul Jones, he was a privateer. We called him privateers. On the other side of the world, the countries that he was raiding, you know what they called him?
Pirates.
A pirate. So letters of marque and reprisal are letters that give you the right to act as a private entity on behalf of, do acts of war on behalf of a government.
That sounds like an NGO.
Yeah. Yeah. But the idea is that your government, like, you don't have a ship. This guy is like, I have a ship with lots of cannons on it. And they're like, all right, we're fighting them, and we're going to commission your ship to fight for us, and your payment will be whatever you plunder from them.
Oh, okay. So it really was kind of like like official piracy.
Yeah, and on his account, he has a picture of a letter of marque signed by James Madison. So this is something that the United States government did do even after it was formed. And he's saying that we could start issuing these letters of marque and reprisal to private citizens to help hamstring the cartel.
Do we need to do that?
Well, if you look at the relationship we have with Mexico and all that other stuff, one of the things Donald Trump has talked about is using the military to go in and basically wipe out cartels.
Yeah.
Which they could do. The United States military is the world's most formidable fighting force. I've seen some of these cartel militaries. They are tough private militaries. The United States military is better. But to do that, you have to be able to go into that country either discreetly or with that country's permission. And it would be very difficult to get Mexico's permission to send a land-based to send the U.S. military into their country to fight their citizens, really.
You know where I could see this being used, though, because this has been an issue. If you have land that's on the border, you know, well, depending on the administration, the Biden administration would tell people who had land that was up against the U.S. border, no, you're not allowed to do anything. Basically, commandeering their private land in a sense and taking away their rights on their own land because it was close enough to the border. I could see us commissioning through these articles landowners on the border to be able to do certain things, maybe not everything, but certain things to protect their land and the border simultaneously.
Yeah. Well,
even if it's just putting up fencing or whatever, like protecting it by not allowing people on it.
Yeah. Well, you know, in the United States has used private military forces before. We used them in Iraq and all that stuff, security forces and stuff like that. What I see this being is more like that. They would commission these private military forces. What was it? Blackwater, I think, was one of them. Dick Cheney's company.
Oh, you're talking above my head now.
Fought in Iraq. You know, they're former military guys, former special forces guys, and then they go and they work in the private industry as these security forces, these private military forces. And I think what the argument after going through this thread that he's making is that we could issue these things to these people, these organizations, and let them go do it because they'd be faster, because they don't have to go through Congress. The United States military has to go through Congress, or at least constitutionally they should, but we've found creative ways of getting around that, and cheaper. You know, they're a private military force is a for-profit organization, which means that they are looking to make profit, and they could do this at a cheaper rate than the U.S. military.
That's an interesting idea. I like the creativity of it.
What I don't like about it is I don't want every Jim Bob with a shotgun thinking, oh, I'm going to be a pirate and go after the cartel. That would get a lot of people killed.
Well, you also would have to be officially sanctioned by the government before you.
Right.
It wouldn't just be
go
everybody.
Apply for one of these. Don't. No.
You could still apply. Just don't know if you'd
just turn them down.
Confirmed. All right, let's take a short break and be right back with our last segment of the day, in which we will discuss the YouTube live chat poll and give you the results, grade Elon Musk and DOGE's efforts so far. By the way, I did the math in the break. If you were here 15 minutes ago, I was talking about what it would take to to make every Greenland citizen a millionaire. 60,000 people at $1 million apiece. Every single citizen of Greenland would be a millionaire for $60 billion. That's how that shakes out. There you go.
Wild.
All right, stick around. We'll be right back.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right, nice, soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, did you just have your house painted? Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, no, it's actually Rhino Shield.
877-25rhino.com.
Could you make $500,000 in retirement savings? Maybe $1 million? Maybe $2 million? Well, you could. The key is having a comprehensive financial plan for taxes, Social Security, inflation, healthcare, income, and more. Discover how you could make money go a lot further in retirement in a 3-hour adult education class, Retirement Planning 101. Guys, it's Dave Glover from KMOX. This one-night class is taught by a fiduciary advisor from financial and tax architects with decades of financial planning experience. They're held at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. There's no cost. Just bring 3 canned goods for the St. Louis Crisis Nursery. If you've saved $300,000 or more for retirement, register by calling 314-350-8110. 314-350-8110. If, like me, you haven't quite had the pedal to the metal the way you should, or if you've had the pedal to the metal the entire time, either way, give us a call. We can help you out, take you wherever you are. 314-350-8110, 314-350-8110 for Financial and Tax Architect.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholt of Kaufman Townsley. We've won the trust of thousands of clients who were seriously injured on the job. We have the team, the talent, and the tenacity to get you the money you deserve. Call 314-500-5000. That's 314-500-5000.
I occasionally have nerve discomfort in my hands, so the things I love to do...
Let's play something, Grandma.
...became difficult as I got older.
If you have occasional stabbing and burning in your hands and feet, try Nervive Nerve Relief. Nervive's clinically studied dose of alpha-lipoic acid reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days with continued daily use. Say yes to healthy nerves with Nervive Nerve Relief. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings. Because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up Oscar!
Taxes was not knowing your full financial picture. Now Taxes is getting and maximizing your refund all in one place. Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get you the most money back, guaranteed. Then you can do more with all that money, all in Credit Karma. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Get started today. See guaranteed details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
Today's YouTube live chat poll: grade Elon Musk and DOGE's efforts so far. A, B, or C, D, or F are the 4 options. Go and vote here on Annie Fry's YouTube channel, where you can also watch us stream the show live. The results of that coming here in just about 10 minutes. The time is 2:46. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
So the first bill that President Trump signed in his second term was the Laken-Riley Act. That was the act that U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement was now to detain and repatriate illegal aliens who commit theft, burglary, larceny, shoplifting, assault against police officers, and crimes that result in serious bodily harm or death. That passed with bipartisan support. I do believe that he has just signed his second bill into law during his second term. And real quick, here's the headlines. As usual, it depends on what you're reading as to how you'll feel about this or how they want to manipulate how you feel about this. From some local news sources, Trump signs no men in women's sports executive order.
Yeah.
But this isn't a law then. This is just an executive order.
This is an executive order.
Okay. My fault. If you read the national news, it says it this way. So he's saying no men in women's sports. That's the headline I just read you. Here's CBS News. Trump to sign executive order that will ban transgender athletes from women's sports. So it's skewed the other way, right? How about this one, Washington Post? Trump's new ban on trans athletes is latest attack on transgender policies. Politico. Trump to sign order that could bar trans women from U.S. Olympic participation.
Politico sucks.
They're getting money from USAID, too, and not much longer. So we're going to go live to Trump signing this executive order. Maybe.
We're going here. Come on. Oh, no. Should kick in.
In a few moments, I'll sign a historic executive order to ban men from competing in women's sports. It's about time. Under the Trump administration, we will defend the proud tradition of female athletes, and we will not allow men to beat up, injure, and cheat our women and our girls. From now on, women's sports will be only for women. But before going further, I want to share some very exciting news from our military. After years of shrinking force numbers at levels that nobody has ever seen before, 4 years of this we went through, and missed recruiting targets every single month, it was just announced that in December, the U.S. Army had its single best recruitment in more than 15 years. Thanks. Every single day, nearly 350 new soldiers enlisted to defend our nation, and they're very, very happy to have done so. We've done lots of interviews, and we asked why this was taking place now, and they just said there's a spirit about our country that they haven't seen in many, many years, and I happen to agree with that. But it really is clear proof that the spirit is sweeping our armed forces, and we have a great leader in Pete. As you know, we all know Pete so well. He's going to be fantastic, and so many of our great heroes, and people are starting to understand what hero is all about. So that is something that is very important. We've gotten the woke lunacy out of our military. And now we're very importantly getting it out of women's sports. That's taking place very strongly. So in recent years, the radical left has waged an all-out campaign to erase the very concept of biological sex and replace it with a militant transgender ideology. You've heard a little bit about this, haven't you? Huh? Just a little bit? Does anybody agree with them? No. Would be not a good thing to say yes right here. Female athletes have been forced onto the front lines, and men claiming to be girls have stolen more than 3,500 victories, that's a lot, and invaded more than 11,000 competitions designed for women. Last year, a male cyclist posing as a woman competed in the 800-mile Arizona Trail Race, a very big deal in cycling, and obliterated the women's course record by nearly 5.5 hours. Sounds like a lot, doesn't it, huh? 5.5 hours, but you have to hear the weightlifting records. You think that's bad. The weightlifting's worse. In 2023, a man in women's powerlifting broke 2 world records and outlifted his closest female opponent in one event by 440 pounds. And they continue to defend themselves, Mr. Congressman. You know that, right? They continue to defend themselves. We hope they continue onward because I don't think we can lose a race. This was one of the big reasons that we all won, and it's one of the big reasons that we had a record, a landslide like they haven't seen before, very often anyway. And who could forget last year's Paris Olympics where a male boxer stole the women's gold medal after brutalizing his female opponent so viciously that she had to forfeit just after 46 seconds, and she was a championship fighter. And actually, they had 2 women or 2 people that transitioned, and both of them won gold medals, and they won them very convincingly. But all of that ends today because with this executive order, the war on women's sports is over.
All right, so that is the EO he just signed, stopping transgender women from playing in, I should say, men who are women playing in female sports. Annie said online there, go Laken Riley. That's very true. If you can't see it, she is in the audience.
Riley
there.
Gaines.
Laken Riley. I said the Laken Riley Act. Riley Gaines. There are a whole bunch of people from the Senate in attendance today, too. And one of the things that President Trump said there that I thought bared repeating is that the Army recruiting numbers for December, so before Trump has even taken office, but after he'd won, shattered records. The New York Post reports that U.S. Army recently announced it shattered previous recruiting records, with December 2024 being the most productive December in 15 years. The branch reported enlisted nearly 350 soldiers every day that month. Army officials announced Tuesday on social media, our recruiters have one of the toughest jobs, inspiring the next generation of soldiers to serve. Congratulations. Keep up the great work. That is from the Army recruiting officials in a post on X. So Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth took to X to share that news. And that was all before he was even the Secretary of Defense, though. So that was the Trump effect that really has pushed that in December. We'll see what it becomes now in January and February. I would imagine it just goes up. We have just a couple minutes here to discuss the poll grade Elon Musk and DOGE's efforts so far. A, B, C, D, and F. Brad, earlier in the show, said that he was an A on this.
Yeah, big time A. I think that they are doing a wonderful job finding, exposing government waste, and by means of exposing government waste, they're finding a lot of corruption too.
That's the goal. That's what we knew would happen, and the fact that it is happening is great. I'm an A on this too. Yeah. I know a lot of people, even on the conservative side of the aisle, are a little leery of Elon Musk. That's okay, but I'm just saying right now, what I've seen so far, I'm a full A. Ethan, you chiming in on this one?
Yeah, there hasn't been anything so far that has made the caution flags go up, in my opinion. He's doing what he said he is going to do. I think that it is comforting knowing that Trump has said, like, there's not going to be anything that's disagreed upon he's not going to do. It's what him and his cabinet support and are with. So it's not like he can just go rogue, which I think is what people are afraid of, that he's just going to go off on a tangent and do whatever he wants. That's not going to happen.
Well, because Elon Musk also is kind of this larger-than-life figure. So he's got all of this media. He does anything. He gets a lot of attention. So anybody who's that big, they view as, oh, is he a threat to Trump? Is Trump going to turn and be like, no, you're taking my spotlight or something like that? That hasn't happened at all yet.
No.
And so I'm glad to see that. If he's there just to do that job of finding and eliminating government corruption, it is a little bit, there's some drama there, though, with Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, I don't know what happened there between those two guys. Vivek was very cordial, but also a little dodgy about what happened and why he's not part of DOGE anymore. I really don't know. But he's running for Ohio governor, apparently, so best to him. We'll see what happens there. The results of the poll, Ethan.
317 votes on today's YouTube live chat poll. The results of this one kind of funny because there's not a lot in the middle. Most of it either is you really like it or you really don't like it. We'll start with the top and then roll to the bottom. 65% of people say A, 15% say B or C, 3% say D, and 18% say F.
No kidding. Well, that's a little more spread out than I thought it would be. I thought it would be straight up A's or straight up F's. And it was mostly A. So, did you say what you were on this? Did you say A?
Yeah, I would say A.
Yeah,
there just hasn't been enough yet to prove me wrong otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, he's done exactly what he said he was going to do. It's going to take time. He said he's going to only do this for 2 years, but I'm like, why stop? I mean, why not do it for the full 4? Unless you think you can do it all in 2 years. But I'm an A on this one. Thanks for tuning in today. This has been the Manny Fry Show. We do hope that Annie is back tomorrow. That's the plan, but we'll see how her voice is doing because that's, you can't really talk on the radio when you don't have a voice, and that's been the situation today. Stick around for the Mark Reardon Show up next on 97.1 FM Talk.
So, another glass of that rock and roll. Turn up the band, find the hole, gonna lose control tonight. What do you want from me? I'm not a married sweetheart.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700.